Good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for being here, and thank you to those viewing remotely. I'll call to order this joint regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council and the Mayor and City Council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino, the San Bernardino City Housing Authority, and as the San Bernardino Joint Powers Finance Authority at 5:09 p.m. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Here.
Councilmember Charette. Here. Councilmember Canas.
Here.
Councilmember Flores.
Present.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Here.
And Mayor Tran.
Here. Thank you. Before we conduct city business, as a friendly reminder, as the elected leaders of the city, we will endeavor to be respectful to each other and our public, and especially our staff. I respectfully ask that we refrain from making statements related to political campaigns or engaging in personal or political attacks during the course of this meeting. This is a space dedicated to the work of the people, and we remain focused on serving our community with integrity and unity. Please also observe proper decorum and do not speak out of turn to make comments from your seat. If members of the public wish to speak to the Mayor and City Council, you may submit a speaker slip. If you speak out of turn or disrupt the meeting, a warning may be given and/or you will be asked to leave the meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.9 and Penal Code 403. Thank you. We will now move on to invocation and pledge. Deacon Nelson Glass from Our Lady of the Assumption Church, as well who is our San Bernardino Police Department chaplain, will lead tonight's invocation. Please approach the podium at this time. And Verne Palmer from Lancashire Elementary School will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please all rise.
I begin in what I believe, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Gracious God, you allow the rain to come down, the good and the bad. Allow your graces to rain down upon our city today, that we may give the goodness of our hearts towards the other. That you bless our council and our mayor, that they proceed forward to make our city a better and safer place to live. That they proceed forward to make us a kinder community through their actions and their example. We ask you, Lord, to bless every one of us and keep us in safe health. We ask this always through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Deacon Nelson Glass, and thank you, Verne Palmer. Mr. City Attorney, is there anything to report from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The closed session items are all listed on the agenda. There are two reportable actions. The first is that the council decided to settle a case, Ricardo Paniagua versus the city. There was a motion made by Councilmember Charette, second by Councilmember Sanchez, and that passed unanimously. The second reportable action is regarding a permanent city clerk. There was a motion made by Councilmember Sanchez, seconded by Councilmember Charette, to make the current acting city clerk, Talisha Lopez, the permanent city clerk. That motion passed by a vote of 6-2, with Councilmember Ortiz and Mayor Tran voting in opposition. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. Councilmember Charette?
Through the chair, please. I just want to be the first to welcome you aboard as a permanent city clerk. We've worked with you now. I have all the confidence in you, and congratulations, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mayor,
Yeah.
and if I just will add, this will be subject to the approval of a contract that will be at your next meeting on open session. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, Madam City Clerk, congratulations. Moving on to presentations, we have 3 items. The first one will start off with Citizen of the Month, Stevie Valencia Jr., the Essential Barber Club, presented by Councilmember Theodore Sanchez. Council, let's join Councilmember Sanchez on stage.
All right. So, is it on? Well, I'm going to start off with 90% of my good looks come from my parents, but a solid 10% comes from the haircut I get from this young man. He is he's a testament to his generation, his young generation. I think I first met you when you were 15 or 16. He was already cutting hair, and he has been so laborious in his work and his goals. He's saved up. He started a family. He's always been honest, hardworking, and he finally opened up his first location, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago at which address?
965 South East Street, San Bernardino.
And he has his own little home just outside the city, but he insisted on having his first business here in the city of San Bernardino. Serves probably hundreds and hundreds of residents with neat haircuts, like my own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this proclamation. We'll take a picture, and I want to give you, Steve Reno, a couple minutes to say a couple words to the viewing audience, okay? So, Steve Reno, we present you with this certificate of recognition from the mayor and the city council, proudly presented to Stevie Valencia Jr., the Essential Barber Club, Civil Engagement Recognition. Today, September, what's today? September 17th? September 17th, 2025, you are our Citizen of the Month in recognition of your outstanding service, steadfast dedication, and unwavering commitment to improving the quality of life for the residents of San Bernardino. Your leadership, compassion, and civic engagement embody the spirit of community and serve as an inspiration to others. We honor the meaningful difference you continue to make in our city. You know what? Should we do the picture? Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stevie. This is my wife, Nancy. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you, Theodore, and the rest of the team here making this happen. I'm very grateful. Worked very hard to make this happen, and I'm grateful for everybody that's in attendance here today. I'd like to thank God as well, and, that's about it. Thank you guys so much.
And he's off to his next appointment. That's how hard this guy works. He's got an appointment in about 20 minutes, so get out of here.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, thank you. Congratulations. And council, don't leave. We're going to our next presentation. We will have a proclamation to acknowledge the Hispanic Heritage Month. And we would like to call up the San Bernardino Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, President Juan Hernandez, please, and your team, please come on stage. Okay. So a proclamation of the Mayor and City Council proclaiming September 5th to October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of San Bernardino. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is observed nationally from September 15th through October 15th each year, recognizing the histories, cultures, contributions of Americans whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas the city of San Bernardino is home to a vibrant and diverse Hispanic and Latino community whose traditions, values, entrepreneurship, and leadership have enriched the cultural, social, and economic vitality of our city. And whereas Hispanic residents of San Bernardino have made significant contributions in every field, including education, business, public service, healthcare, and the arts, and community leadership, strengthening the unity and resilience of our city. And whereas the San Bernardino Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has played a vital role in advancing opportunities for Hispanic-owned businesses, promoting economic development, supporting entrepreneurs, and fostering partnerships that help strengthen the local economy. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month provides an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of Hispanic Americans, to reflect on the challenges that remain, and to reaffirm our commitment to equity, inclusion, and opportunity for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the entire city council do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of San Bernardino, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing the contributions and achievements of Hispanic and Latino Americans and in celebrating the cultural richness that strengthens and unites our community. Presented on the 17th day of September 2025.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I thank God and my team, because without them, this is not gonna be happening. So on behalf of San Bernardino Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I want to express our sincere gratitude for this proclamation, recognize the Hispanic Heritage Month. This recognition is not only for the Chamber, it represents the countless Hispanic entrepreneurs, families, and leaders who contribute every day to the growth, culture, and economic in the San Bernardino area. The Chamber, our mission is to continue empowering and supporting the small business, fostering unity, and building bridges, opportunities for generations to come. We thank the city, the San Bernardino, in celebrating the Hispanic community for standing with us. We honor our heritage and the future. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. Let's take a picture. And next, we would like to recognize the California Native American Day in the city of San Bernardino, and we have a special guest, our Assembly Member, James Ramos, who will be accepting this proclamation. Please come up on stage. Big round of applause. Proclamation of the Mayor and City Council observing September 26, 2025 as California Native American Day in the city of San Bernardino. Whereas the city of San Bernardino recognizes the importance of acknowledging and honoring the rich history, culture, and contributions of Native Americans, and whereas the city of San Bernardino recognizes and acknowledges that our city is on the ancestral homelands of the Yuha Vietnam of San Manuel Nation, and is home to the first and only Native American elected to the state's legislature. Assembly Member James C. Ramos. Yes. And whereas the state of California officially recognized California Native American Day as an official state holiday as a result of Assembly Bill 1953 being signed into law by then Governor Wilson, authored by then Assembly Member Joe Baca Sr. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of San Bernardino, that the City of San Bernardino officially recognizes the importance of California Native American Day, celebrated every year on the fourth Friday of September, and this year on September 26, 2025. The City of San Bernardino encourages residents, educational institutions, and community organizations to observe California Native American Day through activities, events, and educational initiatives that promote understanding, cultural exchange, and respect for California Native American traditions and contributions. The City of San Bernardino encourages local businesses and organizations to support California Native American artisans, entrepreneurs, and cultural initiatives through partnerships, collaborations, and sponsorship opportunities. The City of San Bernardino calls upon neighboring jurisdictions to recognize California Native American Day as an official observance, highlighting the importance of honoring and respecting the Native American people and their contributions to our society. Presented this 17th day of September 2025. In your honor.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for acknowledging the ancestral homelands of our people, Yohavitan people of the Samoa Nation. And a lot of people think that Yohavitan is now a new name, but it's our traditional name from when we were created up in these valleys and in the San Bernardino Mountains. So Yohavitan is our traditional clan name. Yohat is the pine tree, Atam is the people. Put it together, it's Yohavitan, the people of the pines. And so this is our traditional territory here in San Bernardino, the valley floor, and the San Bernardino Mountains. So thank you for acknowledging and calling on residents in the city of San Bernardino to honor California Native American Day, the fourth Friday in September. So I want to thank you for that. But I also want to leave you with a traditional song that I'm going to sing. And you'll hear a pomara, mara in our language. Mara is the whole world. And created people, all of us, the way we look today. And you'll hear in there, Pomara Yohaviatam, that means welcoming into our territories and basically doing a blessing. And in our language, Amachunup is honoring the all-knowing, almighty God that we all call our Creator. Pomara, pomara, chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara, chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara, chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara, chamkache, chamkache, pomara, chamkache, pomara, chamkache, pomara, pomara, chamkache, chamkache, pomara. Pomara chamkache, chamkache, pomara chamkache, pomara chamkache, pomara, pomara chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara chamkache, chamkache, pomara, pomara chamkache, chamkache, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, Yohaviatam, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, Yohaviatam, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, Yohaviatam, pomara, pomara Yohaviatam, iviyaha hekapa Yohaviatam.
Beautiful. Thank you, Assemblymember Ramos. Thank you so much for honoring us this beautiful cultural exposure and to be able to recognize you and your people. Thank you
so much.
Big
Thank
round
you.
of applause to our Assemblymember and to Yohaviatam.
Thank you so much.
That was beautiful, wasn't it? Thank you again, Assemblymember James Ramos. And thank you for fighting for us in Sacramento as well. Thank you. We are now moving on to public hearing. We have, I believe, one item, two items. Number 4, continuation, September 17th, 2025, a public hearing to adopt resolution denying or approving Appeal 24-06 of Planning Commission's approval of Resolution 2024-034-PC that restored the conditions of approval for Administrative Development Permit 22-020 in Ward 3. Item number 3 is the quasi-judicial hearing, and we will follow the procedural rules in accordance with Resolution number 2018-88. I'm opening the hearing at 5:30 p.m. Any members of the public wishing to address the body on this item must please stand and raise your right hand to have the city clerk administer the oath. Madam City Clerk.
Ms. Dolores Armstead? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. If any council members have had any ex parte communications outside of this public hearing with city staff, the appellant, or members of the public related to this public hearing, please disclose them at this time and share the substance of the information received. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Mayor, and in fact, I believe I made this statement previously, but I'll restate it again, that I was at one point, approximately 2 years ago, I don't remember the exact date, contacted by one of the appellants. We didn't really have a discussion regarding this topic other than me redirecting them to speak with staff regarding the item as well. And so I feel that I wasn't provided any information prior to it, so I'm ready to make a decision based on the information provided to us here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Could city staff provide a presentation on this item? Staff will have 15 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Since the last time this item was continued, we've tried to be in contact with the applicant on either side of this appeal. We have not been successful in getting both sides to agree on which direction to go, so we're here today with the appeal as filed. Before I get into the presentation, I just want to give you a brief background. It's not going to take very long. This is an appeal of a decision made by the Planning Commission, and there are two appellants in this particular instance. Carney Mayor Law is representing ADESA, and the other side is a Waterman Business Center Association. I would refer to them as Appellant 1 because they were the ones that appealed Planning Commission staff's decision to remove conditions on a project, and Appellant 2 would be ADESA because they're the ones that actually appealed Planning Commission's decision to the City Council. So, Mike, the first slide. So the project in question is located at 379 East Industrial Way. 379 East Industrial Way consists of a office industrial complex for about 12 buildings. There is a combination of ownership buildings within this particular complex. As you could see by the slide, it shows where the complex is in relation to other buildings within the area. Next slide. This other slide also shows the specific location of the project itself and some of the other surrounding buildings within that industrial complex. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, Appellant 2 is Carney Mayor Law. They represent ADESA, which is a frozen food manufacturer doing business at 375 Industrial Way in the Waterman Business Center. Appellant 1 is the Waterman Business Center Association. They are the building owners association responsible for, among other things, enforcing the Waterman Business Center CCNRs and other rules and regulations for the 12-building Waterman Business Center. Appellant 2 is appealing Planning Commission's decision of an appeal filed by Appellant 1. Appellant 1's appeal was approved by the Planning Commission on November 12, 2024. Appellant 1's appeal was predicated on the removal of certain conditions of approval from the Administrative Development Permit, ADP 22-020, which is attachment E in your package. ADP 22-002 was issued for the installation of approximately 9,000-gallon outdoor liquid nitrogen tank, including conditions of approval, numbers 20 through 26. There are no other businesses within the center with a 9,000 outdoor nitrogen tank. The next slide shows the picture of the nitrogen tank. The conditions in question are 20 through 26. They detail where bobtail and semi-trucks would park, ingress and egress to the site, hours of operation. Applicant agrees to screen a liquid nitrogen tank in accordance with plans approved by WBCA, and the metal screening material will be painted to match the main building color. Applicant agrees to install and maintain landscaping. Conditions 23 to 26, applicant agrees to properly and promptly dispose of all waste to minimize odors and pests. No utility lines will be mounted on the exterior of the building. Storm drain trench is to remain undisturbed. In addition to these conditions, WBCA is requiring proper notice, minimum of 3 business days, and insurance before starting construction over, near, or under the fire water main that runs through the proposed construction area. These conditions were added to ADP 22-020. ADESA protested addition of these conditions to planning staff, and planning staff removed those conditions. Now, the process of the ADP does not require staff to give any kind of public notification, so all these were happening inside the department. Appellant 1, which is WBCA, protested and appealed the removal of those conditions. Appellant 1's protest and appeal was filed in January of 2023, within 15 days of the decision that staff made. Appellant 1 has provided additional information as to why the application, his request for an appeal was not processed. Staff was conferring with the attorneys. There were a lot of back and forth, which is documented in email records. And so the appeal application was not processed until 2024, and that decision is based on the fact that the city, in my opinion at the time, was subject to litigation because we have not processed the appeal within the specified period of time. I have heard other comments to the effect that the applicant should have known what he should have done. My response to that is, as a director of community development, I coach people all the time. Not everybody knows how the city operates. People rely on us to provide them with guidelines. They would claim that those guidelines were not provided, therefore the application wasn't processed on a timely fashion. So Carney Mayor's position here is, regardless of those circumstances, that appeal should not have been processed because the resolution was not within that 15-day window. The fact of the matter is the Planning Commission heard all that evidence and they still agreed to approve the appeal filed by appellant number 1. So by considering the appeal, the Planning Commission approved the appeal, which restored those conditions that I just read, 2226. Appellant 2 claims the Planning Commission should not have heard the appeal because it was processed late. Appellant 2 also contests adding the conditions in the first place because they were tenant-landlord issues and not city issues. Also claims that no other uses in the complex have those conditions attached. The director's position is enforcing those conditions of approval for development, and there are no other businesses similar in characteristic to Odessa. Per San Bernardino Municipal Code, which will be, you would hear a lot about this evening, appeal shall be filed within 15 days of the decision. A letter of interest seeking, indicating that an appeal that WBCA wants to file an appeal was received within that 15-day period. It just wasn't processed. On July 24, 2023, within that 15-day appeal period, WBCA wrote a letter, attachment 13, appealing the removal of the conditions. The letter was not processed, as I mentioned, in accordance with the municipal code. These are the pictures of some of the concerns that WBCA has with this operation. You can see the truck. You can see how the truck is parked in fire zones. Some of the conditions identified in AGP 22 were to address these kinds of situations. At the Planning Commission meeting, there was testimony received from other businesses within this complex about this particular operation, how it was disruptive to the way they did their business. Two additional slides that you could see. The truck is parked in a red zone. That other truck is actually blocking vehicles from being able to exit out of the parking space. And these were actually photos. The next slide is another example of how this one particular business operates contrary to the conditions of approval and represents a parking violation. Appellant 2's exhibits are identified. They kind of tend to downplay the importance of not being disruptive to all the businesses. The truck parking was something they considered to be, any kind of condition placed on truck parking was considered to be excessive, et cetera, et cetera. And they show additional exhibits showing how they may not have been in violation of parking. And what I can say to that is all this information was presented to the Planning Commission. They saw the evidence and they decided that staff actually bring back AGP 22 for them to repeal because of the blatant violation of the conditions of approval. So what you have in front of you this evening is a recommendation to either ratify Planning Commission's decision by denying the appeal or overturn Planning Commission's decision by approving the appeal. And I think you're going to hear from both sides because they are here with legal representation. That concludes my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Elliott. I do have, at this point now, members of the council can have questions for staff. I do show that I have Councilmember Ortiz would like to ask questions of staff.
Mayor, may I reserve till after I hear the two arguments?
Yes,
please.
actually,
Okay.
that every, when each appellate or either the appellant as well as the two parties, there's the option for council to ask that question. So did you want to wait till Odessa speaks?
I'm still like.
Okay, so are any questions of staff, council? No? Seeing none? Oh, Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes, how did this go before the planning committee when it was already too late to appeal?
So when a staff decision is appealed, it goes to the Planning Commission. So WBCA appealed staff's decision to remove the conditions that were part of the ADP 2022. So that's the next step of the appeal.
So who stops the appeals after the 15 days? That's my question. Is that
Who-
something that staff just automatically, whether they're on time or late, they still process it through?
Well, let me answer that question in a different way. If WBCA had never filed any interest to appeal those decisions, after 15 days, that decision becomes permanent. So, but you have to take action within that 15-day appeal period because we can't keep this open for eternity. So, and the question here is a letter of interest indicating they want to appeal those decisions, the same as actually filing an appeal and paying for the appeal. The applicant, one's position is that when he sent a letter of intent to appeal, he expected staff to reciprocate by providing supporting information. Staff at that time said, we want to run it by the attorney, we'll have some internal things going on. There was turmoil in the leadership, the director of the department, the city planner, that was changed. So, so nothing happened. That's why we're here today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments of council for staff? Seeing none, we will now move forward to, at this time, I would invite the appellant, Odessa, to provide their evidence or testimony on the item. You will have 15 minutes to speak. Council members, please hold any questions until the testimony has concluded. Please press the mic.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Kendra Carney-Mayer. I am a former city attorney myself. Oh, thank you. I'm a former city attorney myself, and tonight I am here as the attorney representing the permit holder, Odessa, the party who stands to be negatively impacted by these conditions remaining. Are my client Odessa, the tenant, who is a fresh food manufacturer, and the landlord, S&E Investments, who are also represented by counsel who's in attendance tonight, and the owner of the building in question. Enclosed in your packet this evening is a letter I previously submitted to the city that directly responds to and refutes the allegations which I believe have been presented to the city and which I expect you'll hear quite a bit more about tonight. That letter explains and refutes things such as the parking. I think there's allegations of parking issues, and the parking lot is overparked for Odessa's needs. Additionally, the fire lane that they're accused to have parked in is the exact place that the conditions direct them to park. But all of these things, and if they are issues, then the parties, Odessa and the property owner, are committed to making any corrections that are necessary. But these issues and allegations are not the most important fact. The most important fact tonight is that the original appeal heard by the Planning Commission was untimely. To start, I'd like to provide a timeline of the pertinent dates relevant to the matter this evening. Odessa leased the property at 379 East Industrial in 2022 from S&E Investments. 379 Industrial is within the Waterman Business Center Association, but is privately owned, entirely independent of the association. Odessa's business grew rapidly, and they soon required a nitrogen tank to quickly freeze some of their fresh food products for safe transport. The location on Industrial does not have freezer storage. They applied for a permit to install a permanent nitrogen tank in the rear of the property. This area was already behind a gate in a portion of the property that was and still is used for product deliveries and pickup. On June 22nd, 2022, the city issued the original administrative development permit allowing for installation of the nitrogen tank. This included 7 additional conditions imposed at the request of the association. Condition 20, which is the primary condition Odessa objects to, severely restricted deliveries to the property to the hours of 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. only, so nothing during daytime. Following completion of construction of the improvement, Odessa learned that the association intended for the conditions to be permanent, even the delivery restriction. This is not workable for Odessa. They do not control their suppliers, nor do they have suppliers that deliver overnight, nor do they have employees that work an overnight shift to accept those deliveries if they could even occur. ADESA, through my office, contacted the city and requested an amendment to the permit. On July 20th, 2023, the city, on its own initiative, issued amended Administrative Development Permit 2022-20, which removed all 7 conditions. On the same day, and this is important, both ADESA and the association received notice of the city's amendment. The association sent a letter to the city discussing the amendment. The association did not submit a city appeal form, nor did the association pay the appeal fee. I would submit to the council that the letter appeal that was discussed a few minutes ago was not processed because the association did not actually submit an appeal or pay the fee as required by code, despite having been told directly to do so. On August 4th, 2023, the time to challenge the amended Administrative Development Permit closed. The amendment became permanent, and ADESA acquired a fully vested interest in the permit minus those conditions. 412 days later, on September 4th, 2024, the association finally submitted an appeal on the proper form and only then paid the fee pursuant to the San Bernardino Municipal Code requirements. San Bernardino Municipal Code Section 19.52.100, Filing of Appeals, of the City of San Bernardino Development Code states, an application for appeal must be filed on a city application form within 15 days filing the final date of an action, accompanied by the appropriate appeal filing fee. There is no room for city staff to exercise discretion. This is also stated on the face of the city's appeal form, and it was stated explicitly in the letter the city provided to ADESA and the association on July 24th, 2023. The information was provided. Additionally, San Bernardino Municipal Code Section 19.52.140, reconsideration, of the San Bernardino Development Code states, if more complete or additional facts or information which may affect the original action taken on an application by a review authority are presented, the review authority may reconsider such action taken if a request for reconsideration is filed with the department within 15 days filing the final date of action. On the face of the city's amendment to the Administrative Development Permit, again, which was sent to the association in ADESA, the city stated, please be advised that the decision is final unless a written appeal is filed with the appropriate fee within 15 days of the date following the date of final approval pursuant to Section 19.52.100 of the City of San Bernardino Development Code. The association was told in no uncertain circumstances what they had to do. The amendment became final on August 4th, 2023, because no appeal had been filed. On August 4th, 2023, that same day, at the close of business, the permittee, ADESA and S&E, obtained a vested interest in the validity and finality of the amended permit. The permittee, ADESA and S&E, were not even informed that the association had ever even responded to the permit amendment until September 10th, 2024. Again, more than a year after the permit became final. Again, a total of 412 days passed between the final action and the time the association submitted its appeal to the Planning Commission. That appeal was untimely and should have been denied. Under California law, if a permittee has acquired a vested property right under a permit, that permit cannot be revoked. The Planning Commission's act to disregard the city's own code regulations and allow the appeal to proceed despite the 412 days that passed is a direct affront to the permittee's due process and vested property right in the amended permit. This should never have progressed to the Planning Commission in the first place, but for the Planning Commission to do anything other than deny this appeal was a violation of longstanding California law. Separate from the timeliness issue, at the time the city agreed to amend the permit by removing the association's conditions, the city recognized the restriction on deliveries, amongst other things, had no relationship to the installation of the approved nitrogen tank. In Nolan v. California Coastal Commission, the U.S. Supreme Court determined that a condition of permit approval had to have an essential nexus to the proposed project. And I'm sure you've all heard that term before. But essential nexus means the condition imposed, here are the delivery restrictions, must be related to the impact of the improvement on the public interest. If no nexus exists, the condition may be considered a taking of private property without just compensation, violating the Fifth Amendment. Here, there is no nexus between the restriction on deliveries and the installation of the tank. The area where the tank is placed does not hamper or restrict deliveries. The tank has no impact. Finally, a city generally does not serve to enforce private association regulations. If anything, the association's desire to enforce regulations outside of its CC&Rs or bylaws is a dispute between private parties that should be resolved by the parties in a civil manner in civil court if necessary. As the staff report in your packet indicates, from the time that the amended administrative development permit was issued, your city staff also concluded, quote, staff removed conditions of approval 20 through 26 to align with how the city imposes conditions on other businesses in the complex, end quote. And more importantly, again, quote, any disagreements between tenant and management are considered private matters, end quote. While the parties here are a property owner and its tenant on the one hand, and the association on the other hand, the conclusion is the same. These parties may address the association's overreach of its authority apart from this permit. And while I do hope that the council considers all the legal reasons why the appeal tonight of the Planning Commission's action must be granted, I do want to be clear about next steps. Should the council uphold the action of the Planning Commission, the city can expect this to be promptly elevated to the Superior Court for review and reversal. I say that only so that you can appreciate the severe burden that this restrictive condition places on Odessa and the serious violation to their right to due process. For all the reasons asserted in my comments tonight and in the written documents put forth on Odessa's behalf, I request the council grant this appeal and remove the unlawful conditions from the amended administrative permit 22-00. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz?
I love when people do their homework. And there's nothing I love more than having our municipal code cited back to us. So just, you know, and no bearing on how I'm deciding right now because I'm thinking and my wheels are turning. So you had received, did you receive the letter a year later, over a year later, regarding the reconditions, the new conditions?
The association's letter, yes.
And I'm not sure if you can tell us this because I do want to hear the other side. But last public hearing, there was a discussion that you guys could possibly find a resolution to this. Is item 20 your most contentious thing? Is that hours of delivery?
That is, so yes, well I would say that there's a good argument that all 7 should be removed. Odessa does not need all 7 to be removed. Condition 20 is the condition that significantly hampers their business.
Okay, I'm going to reserve the rest. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments by council members for Odessa? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, I invite the respondent, Waterman Business Center Association, to provide their evidence or testimony on the item. You will have 15 minutes to speak. Council members, please hold any questions until the testimony has been concluded. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mohammed Gaz from Lex Opus. I've been an attorney for almost 37 years, involved in development and real estate and all of the things that you can do inside the courtrooms and inside the city councils in various jurisdictions. I've been retained by Waterman Business Center Association, a nonprofit association that's primarily engaged in the same good work that you folks do, and that is to provide a city that's a better and safer place for all to live. So my association, the client here, doesn't have any interest differently than yours in the matter to make sure that the traffic issues, parking issues, landscaping issues, things of that nature are actually workable for the smaller community that is the association. So what brings us here today, and by the way, I have Mr. Craig Furness and Mr. Scott Furness here in case we have a factual question that needs to be answered for them to participate. What we're dealing with here, regardless of the technical objection that's been made, I don't know if this mic is working properly. Can you hear me? Thank you. What we're dealing with here is large 18-wheeler food delivery trucks. We've all been next to them on the freeway. We've all tried to navigate around them, and they show up at this place in droves. And they park in a way that's disruptive, unsafe, pushes the car traffic out onto the street, out onto the other people's properties. The Planning Commission heard all of this, extensive evidence, and what you heard today is the challenge is not really to the Planning Commission's factual findings. Apparently, according to the appellant here, Odessa, that's not what's important. What's important is this timeliness issue only, because on the rest of it, the discretion of the Planning Commission examining all of the evidence in detail was against them. Moreover, when Odessa came to this body to ask for a permit in the first place, it agreed to those conditions. Those conditions were granted a year before Odessa decided to go in and seek a change. The original development permit was given July 22, 2022. Odessa sought an amendment of that, didn't file an application, you didn't hear that. Didn't pay a fee, didn't hear that. And I'm not going to recite your regulations, but those things also required that an application be filed. None of that happened when Odessa went to do it. Somehow, and I go with the director's comment that there was some upheaval in the city, and the thing got processed, and an amendment happened. It was never signed by a director, and that amendment went into effect. My client wasn't noticed, didn't attend the hearing, didn't get to say a word about those changes, even though it participated in the original development application. So there was some rogue action to try to get this amendment in place in the first place. And once the amendment was put in, my client, within 4 days, you have 15 days to do it, within 4 days objected. And what matters here is substance. They said, this doesn't make any sense. We want you to hear our side of it. And because of, again, issues at the city, the process got elongated and it got heard a year later. So the focus on the timeliness, and I'll point to a couple of things here, it's legally defunct. They don't want to talk about the substance. Those big trucks delivering what they're delivering, disrupting the business of the association and traffic, that's what the substance is here, and the Planning Commission got it right. Now, let's talk about untimeliness. That seems to be the elephant in the room. The action that's at issue, July 2023, is what started all of the stuff that's brought us here. And that action, if you go back and look, you'll find that there's no genesis for it coming as by way of an amendment of an established development permit already to be amended, but it was signed by the chief staff planner, I believe, not the director. And the regulations that you have, it triggers the 15 days when there is a director's action. In other words, there is a signature by a director who's done something, and the 15 days gets triggered. So if we ever go to court, I have no desire to do that, but if we do, those are the issues that are going to come before the court. So what you have is the 15 days didn't even apply. But even if it did, let's put substance beyond form. There was an appeal within 4 days. And when my client submitted it, they were told, wait, we'll let you know, wait, we'll let you know, we'll work with you, we're examining. And when they were told, okay, you need to pay a fee and file the form, they did, they complied, the city got the money it was supposed to get. If it didn't get it within 15 days, they got it within whatever amount of time that the city deemed appropriate to accept it. Then the matter and the substance went before the commission, reviewed, accepted on evidence. So this technical little, let's put form over substance, you blew the 15 days, doesn't hold water because it's not true. It didn't even apply. But even if it did, it was met in substance. Something more important here too. I think one ought to ask, how come these conditions, when Odessa came here and asked for the permit in July 22, was acceptable, and in July 23 wasn't acceptable? What were they doing in that 1 year? Well, what they found out is it was difficult probably to comply with those conditions, and they decided they're going to be in, and I think the commission found that they were in parking rules violation in addition to CCNR violations, and they just decided to try to get it out of the system, and it failed. And it should be part of the permit, and you should approve the commission's, finding that this is appropriate for what we have going on here. One word about lawsuit. The landlord, which is S&E Development, by the way, the resolution has that name incorrectly. It says SGE, so when you look at it, I think it needs to be a correction. It's S&E. They filed a lawsuit against my client, and the court struck from their complaint that these conditions were unlawful, that the court was not going to do that because that was not part of what the court was entertaining. So the conditions in terms of Odessa going to court and trying to take a second bite at the apple, they're going to run into the back end of the same truck. The conditions were lawful. They were necessary. As the director explained, they're part and parcel of what's going on here. It's in your discretion. You imposed it. So there's not going to be there's a lot of smoke. There's not going to be a whole lot of fire in there. In conclusion, I just think that we would have liked to solve this. We have tried to solve it, and we will try again to solve it, because the association, as I stated earlier, its interest is in safe, orderly management of the property. It has no other dog in this fight. And for that, we will continue to work with them. But the idea that we can have the pole right from under us, when we agree to a condition, we go along, don't make noise, and it gets taken away, and when we object, these kinds of technical, I don't want to call them frivolous, but almost frivolous, ideas are floated that it's untimely and not look at the real deal, should be rejected. I think the right thing here is to approve the Planning Commission's findings, and parties can go on and try to solve this amongst themselves. And I can say on my part, we'll try to do that again, even though we don't have to come before you every month and harass you about it. Unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, do we have members of the council have any questions for the respondent? I see Councilman Ortiz, followed by Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, great argument. Same thing. I love the homework. Okay. What took you, okay, I'm looking at your email. So you're saying that on July 20th of 2023, an amendment came through, changing the revisions of the original conditions.
Correct.
To what they stand now. And then I see an email, and I don't know if this is from you or just from someone, to Elizabeth Mora Rodriguez, questioning, and this is 4 days later, the amendment. Okay. But you don't file an appeal for over a year. So what was happening in that year period between the letter and the appeal?
I was not directly involved, and since that involves a factual question, I can represent that there was a lot of communication, but this is probably, and he already took the oath, he could address factually what happened during that time frame.
My name is Craig Furness. I'm president of 7th Street Development and also the manager of the Waterman Business Center Association. We did object on April 24th, 4 days after that letter was issued by Mr. Rosales. I'm sorry, July 24th, 2023. And then we had a relentless follow-up with staff on July 31st, on September 7th, on October 5th, October 9th, October 23rd, October 31st, November 6th, December 15th, all those in 2023. I eventually, it ended up, met with Charles Montoya, who was the city manager. I kept escalating Barry Lunar. We were not silent by any means. And I have the email documentation, and we can prove all those allegations.
At any time during this year-long conversation, did they ask you to submit an appeal and pay a fee?
No, it wasn't until the new community development director, Charles Montoya, directed me to wait until the new community development director, Director Elliott, was appointed. We met with him, and that's the first time someone mentioned to me that we should go before the Planning Commission. Our thought was that it was a staff letter, that the staff could rescind that letter.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. For the attorney, the one that gave the testimony earlier, you had said that your client was not notified of the changes for the conditions of approval, correct? Something along those lines? But then a few sentences later, you said that they did appeal 4 days later. How were they notified if, earlier you said they weren't notified, but then they did appeal 4 days later? How were they notified to know to file an appeal?
Thank you. Let me clarify that. What I meant by that, if it was misunderstood, is this. The original application was in 2022. When the effort came to amend it in 2023 by ADESA, there was no notice given to my client. There was no hearing. There was no evidence presentation. There's nothing. It was a request apparently, and there's nothing even in your city's file that I found that says how it was originated. So what my client got was a letter after the decision was made to delete those conditions. So before that letter came on July 20, we didn't know that there was even any kind of process to eliminate them. There was a request made, but there was, and if you look at, I said I wasn't going to do this, but since it becomes necessary somewhat, when an application is, when an amendment of a development permit is being sought, section 19.32.02 says application for permits, permit modifications, amendments, and other matters pertaining to this development code shall be filed with the department on a city application form, together with all fees, plans, maps, and any other information required by the department. Well, if this amendment was being sought by ADESA, there would be an application for it, there'd be a fee paid for it, we would potentially get notice of it, there would be some process. None of that happened. Instead, my client received a letter saying that the permit is now changed. So that's what I meant. I hope that clarifies.
It does, thank you. You also made a comment earlier that the original conditions were approved in 2022, and then the changes or the amendments were made in 2023, and made a statement about that. I'm not sure if you're alleging, implying, or suggesting that they were operating outside of the conditions during that time period. Is that your position? That are you suggesting that, alleging? Do you have any evidence? As far as condition number 20, where they were, the condition was for them to operate between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Are you suggesting that during that time period where they learned that that was not manageable for them, do you have any evidence that they were operating outside of those conditions?
You're asking for specific evidence from the 2022 until they sought the amendment in that time frame. I personally wasn't ready for that question to tell you that, this or that is available. We know ever since this issue came up, obviously there's a problem because trucks are getting parked all over the place and at the wrong times. That doesn't comply with that particular section. But let me see if Mr. Fernandez has an answer to this. May I have a moment? Mr. Fernandez will answer your question.
We have photographs of violations that we can present from that time. When they first installed the tank, they installed it with no permit. Then in 2022, they applied for the administrative development permit, agreed to the conditions, and then during that period, they continually violated condition 20 of the semi-trucks loading during the day, such that the parking was blocked and their employees, which they have 25 to 40 employees in 3 shifts, had to park in other lots, and so we sent violation letters because they were parking in the lots of other owners. And then we received complaints, and in your packet are complaints from the owners, the owner of Family Mortuary on one side and Social Vocational Services on the other side. Social Vocational Service is a tenant who services folks with Down syndrome and autism. It's really important for them to have parking in front of their space. And when Odessa, who's adjacent, their employees parked there, that's when we received the complaints. So we presented those letters in your packet, and we also have photographic evidence.
Just clear, you said something about the nitrogen tank, that was installed prior to being permitted?
That's correct. They installed what they termed a temporary tank, as well as a boiler in their yard initially. That was unpermitted. That's when code enforcement got involved, and as a result of that, that's when they applied for their administrative development permit in 2022. It started out in 2021. July 2021 was the first time we evidenced construction at the project.
Okay. No more questions, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other questions by council? Okay. At this time, I invite members of the public to comment, provide evidence or testimony on this item. Not yet. Please indicate whether you have been sworn in. You will have 3 minutes to address the council. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
No, sorry, Ms. Dolores Armstead would be the next.
I'm sorry?
Are we calling public comment?
Yes.
Yes, Dolores Armstead.
Okay, thank you. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Dolores Armstead. I am not an attorney, okay? I am a private citizen. First, I'd like to say that we need to keep the conditions in place. The company is already in violation of the conditions of approval before the Planning Commission hearing, such as your semi-trucks parking wherever they feel like. In the red fire zone, isn't that illegal? I'm asking you, isn't it illegal to park in a fire zone, fire parking? I'm asking. The company obviously will continue to violate conditions of approval. They've already shown that. Odessa has performed unpermitted construction. They've already shown that. They totally disregard the conditions of approval. So we need to keep whatever conditions we have so we can keep going after them. Another question, a 9,000-gallon hydrogen tank outdoors, shouldn't it be encased for safety, something? What about the rest of the community? There is no safety codes here. There's nothing happening. They just do whatever they feel like, and it's okay. It should be scary to everyone to have a 9,000-gallon hydrogen tank just parked wherever they feel like. They have, obviously, they have disregard for the existing storm drains, disregard for existing landscaping. They just do whatever they feel like. And then you want to fight this because of dates? What about the danger to the community? Forget the dates. What about the danger to the community? You have semis obstructing parking, If there's an emergency and you got a semi sitting there, what do? They totally disregard it. Obviously, they've shown they don't care. So you need to keep whatever conditions we have so we can do some enforcement, somehow do enforcement. Yes, it's private property, but they're still out of condition. They're still out of regulation. You need to consider that. And I definitely am concerned about a 9,000-gallon hydrogen tank just out there in the open. You should be too. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no more speakers.
Thank you. At this time, I invite the appellant, Odessa, to provide any rebuttal evidence and testimony. You have 5 minutes to address the council.
I would like to say that the fire department did go out there and do an inspection on the tank, and they gave their okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to correct a few allegations. First of all, the tank that is there was installed with permits. Yes, Odessa had a temporary tank that I think happens to many businesses or residential property owners. Occasionally something is done where they don't realize that they need to have that permitted, but they corrected it right away, which is, I think, generally the appropriate action. And the tank there was never installed without a permit. No work was done for this without a permit. As to the comment about the time period between when the initial permit was issued to the time that I contacted the city on Odessa's behalf, Odessa had rapid growth during that time. So initially, and I think if you look at the conditions in the permit as a whole, those conditions read primarily as the construction stage conditions. Odessa understood those conditions all to be specific to the construction stage. Once the tank was final, or the permits were final for the tank, that those had all been complied with. When they realized that this delivery issue was intended to continue permanently, and as they grew, because still to this day, most of their deliveries and their own internal pickups and deliveries are done by Bobcats, which are smaller trucks. But their need for some semi-deliveries grew, and so when then we first approached the association and asked if we could collaboratively revise the condition, and they refused, I contacted your city attorney's office, and we had several discussions about the terms of the permit. I pointed out that I felt like there was a nexus issue, and that these were inappropriate conditions to be imposed when they really relate to private parties. And as a result of those conversations, the city internally decided to issue this amended permit. There was no application. That was an action by your city staff, based on the concerns that your city attorney's office agreed with. The code explicitly gives clear directions, though, for an appeal, which is, of course, what started this tonight. Substance doesn't trump form. You have to do the basics of submitting it on the city's appeal form, doing so within 15 days, and paying your fee. The timeliness issue is significant because it creates a vested right. To violate this is not form over substance. It's to protect a constitutional right to due process. And just finally, there have been, I don't believe there are findings of actual violations to date. There has been, apart from that, several years ago, a code enforcement visit after which they applied for a permit for a permanent tank. There are no notices of violation that I'm aware of. There have been there's no city action or no fire district action at all on Odessa's operation. So any disagreement between Odessa and its landlord and the association is just that. So I just want to make that point because it sounds like there has been a lot of violations and there have not been violations that were acted on by any type of public agency. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the council have any final questions of staff, the appellant, Odessa, or the respondent, Waterman Business Center Association? I do see Councilmember Ortiz and Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa.
Okay. How were you able to operate efficiently between 2022 and 2023 with the deliveries?
At that time, they may have gotten one semi-delivery maybe once a week. And then as that grew is when they realized then the issue with the conditions continuing. So it wasn't, at the beginning, I think it may have been all by bobtail, all of their deliveries. And then as their business grew, so did their needs.
Okay. And I'm looking at the original permit that was issued in 2022. And forgive me I really want us to be fair in this because I want to make sure, I think business is important and resolution, I think there's a middle ground, but I don't know. So in item 20, it says bobtail and semi-trucks will park, load, and unload only in areas designated on Exhibit A. Applicant will limit semi-truck access egress to and from the lot to between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. No semi-trucks will park on site during these hours. You were able to comply with that for within the year? Or, and I'm going to ask you the same question, so please, do you believe that idling and parking are the same things for delivery, or is it a truck being on the property no matter what?
Well, so I would say this. Number one, I was not involved until the time right before the amendment was issued, because that's why I was retained. But I mean, I've talked about this with my clients at length. So I don't think that they were able. I think they probably had one every week to every other week semi-delivery. For USDA and FDA requirements, food ingredients have to be dropped off as closely as possible to the delivery point. But every time then they are delivering within the area that was designated. Does that
yes
answer your question?
Okay, cool. All right, staff. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Was Odessa within their right, as I'm looking, to file this amendment in 2023?
Which one are you referring to, Kim?
To remove the items 2019 through, what was removed in 2023?
2023.
I'm sorry.
Well, so I don't know what the mindset was in the department at the time. However,
I'm sorry for the interruption. Point of order. As far as the process, do we wait until we close out with the rebuttals of both applicants before we direct questions to staff? Or is this still part of? I'm sorry, there's too many.
Okay. This is the time where you can ask questions of any of the three, staff or either of the parties.
I just wanted to make sure that one of the appellants, representative, doesn't walk away, because I also have questions for her as well.
Yeah, please don't leave, because my train of thought is going to circle.
No worries, because Council, I just did mention that this is time for Council to ask of any staff, appellant, and respondent.
My apologies.
So, no worries. Okay.
Okay. So just to process, between the original ADP issue and then the amendment in 2023, is that a legitimate process that they could go through?
It is a legitimate process that could go through, but I think the key word here is process. And in my opinion, there wasn't a process. They requested, and we took the conditions away. That was not any kind of engagement or hearing, or as you could hear from the attorneys, because when I got here in 2024 and I'm reading through the file, I'm looking at this and I'm going like, this is really highly inconsistent. The conditions were placed in coordination between the two parties. It can seem like one party all of a sudden showed up one day and told staff to take the conditions off, and staff did. And those conditions were gone. So that is what I mean by process.
So the process was, I got this. Yeah, okay. Sir. Respondent. Other than the parking issue, is there nothing that can be resolved for the trucks? Is that the biggest area of contention that we're having? Have they outgrown you guys? I mean, because to what they're saying is they've done really well. And now
we're happy about that.
and it's great, right? Because
Right.
it's money, it's revenue, it's someone in there, and we have our processes, we have our things that we have to go through. But is it a go no go if you can't resolve this truck issue? Is my question.
I will answer that question in the most productive way I can imagine. I think, given the mess, shall we say, that this is, I think leaving it where it is, as the Planning Commission found, and then allowing them to file an application. We have worked on other alternative plans. File the proper application for the amendment, go through the process. Hopefully, we'll vet it together beforehand, that we're in agreement. Nobody's going to throw a shoe. If there's fire department agrees, other people in planning agree, it goes through. If they have comments, we'll try to meet those comments. I think that's the process to follow, not to try to do what happened here.
So if you could start this over, if you guys could refile your amendment, you could refile your response, you would feel like that has cured and correct this issue for you, possibly, maybe?
Well, the way I see it is, we went in jointly and said, as the director said, approve this to get everybody into compliance. So one party shouldn't go around, try to unplug it. Both parties should go and submit at the same time. Even if they disagree, at least bring their disagreement and say, okay, they want this, we want that, and then, the decision gets made. So yes, I think that's the process that should get restarted now. If they want to have a change to this condition, then file a proper application, prove that it's warranted, and if it is warranted, I can tell you the association has no objection to something that makes sense, as I'm sure the city wouldn't, and then just go about it and it'll get done. I think this is about something else, it seems.
Yeah, no, okay. And then for you, same thing. But yours is the 412-day contention, that the process wasn't followed for the right to appeal within the 15-day provision, even though they responded within 4 days of questioning. You still think the formality of the filing should have been adhered to?
I absolutely think that. I also think the fact that ADESA was never informed that they submitted anything, so they had no reason to know that the city was even considering this during that time. As far as they knew, their right became, which I think pursuant to the code it did, vested on August 4th of 2023. And I'd also say in response to your question to the association, I started, I think the first time I spoke with the association was in January of 2023, well in advance of the city, of seeking the city's assistance or raising this to the city's attention, because I did just that. I went to the association and I said, the ADESA did not understand that this condition, that you wanted to impose this permanently. They anticipate this being an issue. Can we work together to revise the hours of delivery and then bring it to the city? And from between January to, I don't recall if it was May or June that I eventually spoke to the city attorney, they refused, repeatedly refused. So I tried very hard to get.
But you didn't know that they were emailing, communicating for over a year?
Well, this was before all of that. Before
Okay.
I ever approached the city attorney to suggest that there was a nexus issue with these conditions, I tried to work with the association for months to bring something jointly to the city. And we're still here because of that, yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that. I think what bothers me is, and I agree with you, like this wasn't even our issue. And then, as always, we somehow figure out how to make a civil matter a city matter. And it bugs. It really bugs me that we have to be here right now because this is a landlord-tenant issue. This is not it. This is how somehow we got sucked into this through the Planning Commission and people filing and signing off on stuff. These are our broken processes. And so I'm still formulating and thinking, but I want to say that because I think in the nicest way possible, this is not supposed to be on city time. And I'm sorry that we're here right now because a year of no communication and I mean, I'm gonna tell you, as someone who has a business license in this city who missed paying by 1 day and had to pay an extra like $60, I know that we have no leeway in this city. And so for someone to be able to then come back 412 days later, or for you to have ongoing conversations with staff for 414 days and never be told to submit a formal process means that we have broken processes. And so we need to find, I believe, and I don't know if it's a resolution, but we need to find the best way to help fix both of this, because either way, we're failing somebody in what we did. And it's not you, because you weren't here, but it is something that we are not, this is not the first. And so but I'm gonna go to Mayor Pro Tem, but I find this like cutting the baby in half, and it's kind of not cool to either party, so.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Before I get to that point, I'll just kind of piggyback on this one as well. Regarding the administrative changes that occurred back in 23, it's my understanding that it is allowable for a director to review that and make administrative changes. Who, and I'm not asking for the name, but the title. There's no need for us to identify the name who signed off on it, but what title signed off on it, and is that title appropriate or allowed to sign off on
So
these changes?
are you asking about the original admin permit, or are you asking about the amendment to the
The
admin?
amendments, the changes to the conditions that occurred. Who signed off on it? Who the administrative change to the conditions?
Councilmember Figueroa, if we're going by the strict interpretation, administrative development permits are something that the director should be in charge of. Now, what happened during that time period, there was no director. So, yeah.
So really no amount of policy would have resolved
There was
this
no
issue.
management to back
So
up
then
any
who-
staff.
So
then-
it was, the director was gone, the
We got
city
Hal
planner
holding the
was
sign.
gone. Mike? Thank you. Director was gone, the planning, whatever, anybody in the high echelon of the department was gone. So, yeah. So staff was left with salvaging what they could.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I guess that'll be an internal conversation, or however we're going to deal with that at some future point, or anyways. But, okay, I'll get back to, I need some clarification on your position. You made a statement that your client's understanding of the conditions of approval were, the conditions were set in place for the construction period. Is that your assertion? Is that your claim? I need some clarification on that. I think you made a comment or mention of that earlier.
Yeah, so there have been separate agreements, unexecuted agreements also with the association where they've tried to impose the same conditions that were never agreed to. But I think in that process, and also in the context of the permit, when the city's other conditions pertain to the construction time period and the requirements for construction of the tank, that yes, my clients, English is not their first language, and their understanding was that these conditions pertain to construction. Once they understood that this was permanent, and I will say this too, when I got involved, that was the first thing I called and asked the city about, because it read that way to me too. So I asked to clarify because of obviously the issues that were developing.
Was it their understanding that condition, item number 20, the semi-truck or the parking from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., that was also part of during the construction period?
Their understanding was that the conditions pertain to the time until the permit was final, like all the building permits were final, which, I think if there were a nexus, I can appreciate that if you also had construction equipment on the property, then maybe there is an issue with delivery trucks coming and going during the day, because then you just have less space. But without it, there really should not be, there's not an issue.
So I'm just trying to understand from their mindset. So in their mind, from their position, once construction is complete, what conditions would they be operating under? Wouldn't they have a separate set of conditions once the construction is complete? And where are those conditions?
The administrative development permit, I don't believe, contains conditions for the operation of the tank specifically day to day. I'm not recalling personally any of those total that would have, from the city's side, that would have been something that would have been remained in place, because I think otherwise then they operate in accordance with regular construction and operating standards for a nitrogen tank. Whatever those may be, I'm certainly no expert in that.
And again, I'm really trying to understand from their position that if they really believed that these conditions were solely during the time period of construction, then what did they imagine would happen once the construction was complete? What conditions would they be operating under? They would have to at least have something, some conditions for operation for me to believe that they really felt that these were conditions of construction.
But I don't think there are any such conditions included in the permit, apart from this delivery condition and maybe the association's landscaping condition. But I think that even had to do with just the landscaping to shield this visually. So I don't think, I do understand. So if you take like a CUP for a restaurant bar establishment, right? That's an easy one we're all familiar with. And that, of course, might have some provisions for tenant improvements, and then it's going to have these ongoing operating conditions. But the conditions for this permit aren't governing the operation of their business. It was to govern the installation of a nitrogen tank. So I think that's a little bit different perhaps than a situation where you do have ongoing conditions. And I also, as I was saying earlier, at the time that they installed the tank, they were delivering and receiving deliveries and doing their own shipments. They have other facilities that they take their product to by Bobcat, which they still do substantially by Bobcat. But they just didn't, it became a need.
And I understand that you're saying that the majority of that traffic are Bobcats, the smaller ones, but in some of the pictures what we see are the big rigs.
They do have semis that deliver. I'd also like to point out, because it's not really shown on the city's descriptive site plans there, around this development are trucking distribution centers. So there are semis going, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but on industrial and coming and going all day long.
Okay. No more questions, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good questions. Councilmember, did you have another question?
Last one to Mayor Pro Tem's point. Section 3, and I'm going to ask the city about this. So Section 3 of the original permit says, the site shall be developed and maintained in accordance with the approved plans stamped June 22nd, 2022. Approval by the city, which includes a site plan, on the file of the planning division. The conditions contained herein and the city's municipal code regulations. Expiration date of June 22, 2024. Does that mean to understand that these conditions would then be subject to a 2-year time period?
Councilmember Ortiz, no. What it means is that if the business does not go into operation by that time frame, those conditions go away. But since their business operation started and is continuous, those conditions will continue to be there until there is such a point where maybe there's a violation or anything, something of that nature. But the fact that it says 2024 doesn't mean necessarily that all those conditions go away. The conditions would stay as long as the business is in operation.
Unless they file a proper amendment.
Yes, unless an amendment was filed and those amendments are reflected in the changes to the original conditions.
And would an amendment need to go back to the same committee that approved the conditions?
Yes.
And it did not?
No.
We had a staff member supersede the authority of the Planning Commission?
Well, at the time, because it's an ADP, so the way the city sets the ADP process up, the ADP is supposed to be a mini version of the Planning Commission. So we figure there are certain types of projects that rise to the level of a Planning Commission approval, and there are certain types of projects that rise to the level of a planning director or community development director level. So the director would make the same findings that would be made by a planning commission, except it doesn't go through a planning commission hearing because we have deemed that process to be not as significant. However, if during that process there happens to be an appeal of that decision, the next body to review it would be the planning commission, and then afterwards the city council. So it depends on when the appeal was filed, and so, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
If I may, Mayor, I need to clarify one thing. So the ADP review authority is staff level. An amendment to an ADP review authority is still staff level.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Good questions. Any further questions from the council? Okay, seeing none. I'm now closing the public hearing at 6. Mr. City Attorney, I don't have that regarding about the rebuttal by the
No,
respondent.
Odessa gets a rebuttal because they're the appellant. The respondent does not get a rebuttal period.
Thank you for the clarification. Councilmember Sanchez?
Once so can we deliberate now? Have we closed the
I need to close the hearing first,
right,
then
yeah,
I
close
will
the hearing,
mention
and
that.
then
Thank you,
and then that's when
Councilmember. Thank you for your patience. I am now closing the public hearing at 6:43 p.m. and invite a motion for this item. But, Mr. City Attorney, I do show the motion first prior to deliberation, or should we have deliberation first prior to motion?
I recommend deliberation first.
Thank you. Do any members of the council wish to discuss the item? Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, I think one of my colleagues here mentioned that filing the appeal timely is a formality, and I couldn't disagree more with that. So the appeal wasn't filed timely, and the second appellant, the appellant in this case, should prevail. So move to approve resolution number 2025-353 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, approving appeal 24-06, thereby overturning the Planning Commission's approval of appeal 24-05.
Councilmember Sanchez, are you suggesting to go with number 2? There's number 1 or number 2?
So in the staff report, identified as appellant number 2. In this particular public hearing, identified as appellant number 1, or appellant. So
It's number 2, adopt resolution
Yeah,
approving denying the
it's-
planning commission.
I believe it's
Thank
number
you.
2, yes.
Thank you.
Hmm.
There's a motion by Councilmember Sanchez
I want to make a,
to adopt a resolution approving appeal 24-06, thereby denying the planning commission's approval of appeal 24-05.
and I want to make a substitute motion.
Okay?
For
No,
now.
no.
We need to go back, stay on the first motion. Okay. Mr.
I
City
don't,
Manager?
I don't believe it was denying, I think it was
Approving?
overturning, wasn't it?
So the appeal before us is the one that I want to prevail. I want the appellant to prevail in
Which
this
would be
case,
overturning the
Which
planning
would be
commission.
overturning planning commission.
Which is number 2.
Which is number 2.
We don't have a second on
Thank you. Is there a second to Councilmember Sanchez's motion? Hearing none, there's a second motion,
So-
substitute motion.
I would like to make the substitute motion to go with item 1, denying the appeal, thereby sustaining the planning commission's original approval.
Thank you, Councilmember Ortiz. There's a motion to adopt a resolution denying appeal 24-06, thereby sustaining planning commission's approval of appeal 24-05. Is there a second?
Can I make an alternate?
There's a second.
Can
There's
we?
a motion and a second.
Well, are these the only two? To Councilwoman Navarro's point, could we ask them to go back one more time? Could we see if there could be any? Because I honestly, I'm going to just say, like, I really think, like, there's no win here. There's none. Either way, we're going to get sued, and I don't like that.
Council members,
I'm echoing the truth, council member. So I'm just saying, I want to make sure, let's just be honest about what we're doing
Councilmember,
here, because
order.
I don't feel
Council
like
members, order.
either one of these work.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager?
Madam Mayor and City Council, to Councilmember Ortiz's question, there is an alternative motion that I've been discussing with the city attorney, and that would be that you could do a motion to close the public hearing, which you've already done, and continue the item for 45 days to provide time for the parties to reach agreement. If agreement is not reached within that time period, this item is continued to November 5th for a decision of the City Council.
I'd
was
love
the
to move
alternate.
that if they're amendable.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Move to approve that
Councilmember
motion.
Sanchez? Councilmember Ibarra?
That was going to be my alternate motion, to have both appellants get together and work an agreement out.
Thank you,
themselves.
Councilmember Ibarra. There's a motion.
And I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilmember Canas. There's a second for the alternative motion by City Manager, what you stated.
Okay.
Councilmember Charette?
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification, we're now approving or going to vote on what you just stated.
I believe that is correct.
I wanted clarification on that. And in addition to that, does that then involve, if they don't come to an agreement?
Then the item
Then we
comes
go
back to
through,
you.
then we go through this process completely again?
No.
No.
You come back just for a decision on November 5th.
We would just come back and vote on these two
That's right.
options?
That is correct.
The public hearing is closed.
It would be
So when it
closed and
comes
done.
back, you go right into making a decision.
We just go into making, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, for the record purposes and for the council's clarification, can you repeat the motion as Mr. City Manager stated, and then call for the votes? There's a motion by Councilmember Ibarra and a second by Councilmember Canas, just to make sure it's on the record clearly.
Okay, I need the city manager to reread the motion.
Sure. Let me read it. The motion would be to close the public hearing and continue item for 45 days to provide time for the parties to reach agreement. If agreement's not reached, the item is continued to November 5th for a decision of the City Council.
And Mayor, if I may, Councilmember Ortiz, I believe your motion received a second, and so there was a substitute motion, but I want to ask you, because you seem to agree with the city manager, do you want to rescind your motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. So there's just one motion on the floor now.
There's a motion by Councilmember Ibarra and a second by Councilmember Canas. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Ortiz, for withdrawing your motion. Yes.
The November 5th date, I start a trial, and if I have to be here, parties have to be here. Could you select a different date, please? Because that conflicts with a court hearing for me.
I'm also not available November 5th.
If the second meeting in November?
We could do November 19th.
November 19th.
November 19th, if it works for council, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call for the vote.
Digital voting is now open.
I'm sorry?
The digital voting is
Oh,
open.
digital voting. Council, please vote on your digital screen. It's not available?
It's not for me.
It's showing not available.
Okay, I'll take a voice vote. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette? Yes. Councilmember Canas?
Yes.
Councilmember Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously for the item to be continued 45 days for the appellants to come to a decision with a date certain if they do not reach a decision of November 18th? 19th.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff. Can we just take a 5-minute recess at the request of Council? Thank you. We'll return at 6:56. All right, we are back at 7:01, a little bit late because I said 6:56. It's 7:01 p.m. We are moving on to our next public hearing item. That's item number 5, approval of the draft fiscal year 2024-2025 consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, also known as CAPER, to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I'm opening the public hearing at 7:02 p.m. Could staff provide a presentation, please?
Yes, we have a presentation available. IT. Unless you want to move to approve. I guess we
Technical
did put it in-
difficulties?
Yes, technical difficulties.
Would you like to do our presentation?
I can do an oral
Because I
presentation.
think, Council, you have something in front of you? Yes, we can, and then we'll have this available to the public online? Yes?
Yes, I will make it available. That was my
Thank you.
mistake. Sorry. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Trina Perez, Housing Division Manager. Today we'll be presenting the draft 24-25 Consolidated Action Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER. This is a federally required report that demonstrates how the city's funding was used to accomplish its goals and meet the community's needs. So last year, during the annual action plan, the city allocated nearly $4.16 million of the 24-25 HUD allocation. The funding comes through three main programs: the Community Development Block Grant, which is used for housing, facilities and infrastructure and public service; the Home Investment Partnership Program, which is for affordable housing development and rehabilitation; emergency solutions grants, which support homelessness prevention, rapid rehousing, and shelter operations. These allocations are tied directly to our 2020-2025 Consolidated Action Plan goals. The Community Development Housing Department is responsible for managing all projects funded by federal HUD grants. The core responsibilities include fair housing and equitable housing practices, providing support for the homeless and implementing strategies to prevent homelessness, expanding home ownership opportunities. Beyond the programs, the city also funds construction and rehabilitation of affordable housing. The city invests in facilities and infrastructure improvements that directly enhance the community. So the CAPER is our year-end performance report to HUD. It details how the federal funds were utilized. It measures progress towards the goals in our consolidated plan. It provides both data and real-world impact stories. And importantly, it ensures accountability and transparency with our residents, council, and federal partners. So this past year, the funding made a significant impact. CDBG funds supported fair housing and landlord-tenant mediation, the police department's quality of life team, and critical infrastructure improvements. The CDBG funds continued to provide interim emergency housing services. ESG funds supported emergency shelters, prevention programs, and rapid rehousing. The home funds supported single-family infill development, owner-occupied rehab program, and the multifamily housing project developments. Altogether, these investments expanded affordable housing opportunities, provided direct service, and improved neighborhood conditions. There would have been a slide that showed all of the public infrastructure projects that were funded in the Encanto Community Service, Ruben Campos, Encanto Park, Gutierrez Park, Hillside, and El Sol Neighborhood Education Center. These investments are more than just about the brick and mortar. They enhance the neighborhood safety, quality of life, and community pride. Also, the home investment development pipeline, we have the projects that you guys have already funded. Arrowhead Grove Phase 4, 93 low-income units. Jamboree at 5th and Meridian, 101 low-income units. The Hillside Infill Development, which is 3 single-family investments, so nearly 200 low-income units coming available. These projects represent long-term investments in expanding the affordable housing supply. You would have seen a picture of the renderings of the 3 infill families, single-family homes coming in to the Hillside area. So during the year, staff negotiated all the deal points with Neighborhood Partnership Housing Services. They entered into the agreement, and just this week, they are taking the grant deed to be recorded to the assessors. So the groundbreaking is slated for December or January of next year, so keep an eye out for that groundbreaking. And then completion is set for June of next year. So tonight, again, we're asking for the public hearing for the draft CAPER, authorize submission to HUD, authorize the city manager or designee to take any further actions to finalize the report. And this is essential to keep the federal funds flowing to San Bernardino for housing and community development. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you.
I move to authorize submitting this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions to speak from the members of the public?
Yes, we have 3 requests to speak from Dolores Armstead, Alicia Nash, and Ashley Dial.
If you hear your names, please approach the podium at this time to speak. Please turn on your mic. Thank you, and state your name.
Hi, my name is Alicia Nash, and I would specifically like to talk about the providing homelessness and prevention efforts. It says that the city aided 31 persons and 11 households with 330,540 ESG funds. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the ESG funds, some of the ESG funding was provided to bridge management, i.e. high towers, and basically the slumlords in our city. And actually one of my neighbors, she was given ESG funding to move into my apartment complex by bridge management. She was actually evicted today, so I don't know what progress we are making with this funding. I also wanted to mention that we had a meeting with the director of community housing, Gabriel Elliott, and he said that you guys are aware of the business that these management companies do. So if we are aware of that, I don't understand how they are receiving rapid rehousing funding or ESG funding anyway. They have over 3,000 properties in the city of San Bernardino, so I think if anything, we need to be pushing to get these management companies out of our city so we can actually have effective housing. Because even though you guys are giving rental assistance and money, these people, they're still getting evicted because they're not paying rent, because they're not fixing things. But that was my comment to your guys' rental assistance or your guys' progress to housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please state your name.
Hi, my name is Ashley Dial, and I am a resident tenant, mother. That's my daughter. I'm a member of the IE Tenants Union, and we're under the Inland Equity Community Land Trust. So thank you guys for your time, and we're just hoping that you guys continue to investigate these slumlords that are coming into the community, because yesterday, my apartments, thank you to Mr. Hernandez from Code Enforcement, came and red tagged the place because they don't have permits to be rehabbing the units. So they just moved someone into the property in the 2nd Ward where I live that is uninhabitable. They don't have permits to operate. This is the red tag that was placed yesterday. So they're moving people with these ESG funds, all of these funds that are coming into from the federal government to house people, but they're actually being displaced because once they don't tend to our maintenance requests, I have a lot of maintenance requests that are being neglected. They want money, they want rent, but they don't want to do maintenance requests. They're violating building and safety codes. They rehabbed a unit that Mr. Hernandez uncovered that was not permitted to be rehabbed. They're removing the air conditioners. They're trying to make us sign new leases. And if it's our complex going through that and they own 3,000 properties in the city, how many families are gonna continue to be displaced because they're coming into the communities, purchasing properties, violating laws because they're allowed to, because there's no oversight. No one's holding them accountable. So we're here today to still shed the light on these PAMA, Bridge, High Tower, IE rentals. And it was unfortunate that the manager and the maintenance supervisor was out here a couple weeks ago speaking out against Treasurer, giving out misinformation. I invited the lawyer, Elder and Spencer, out to our press conference, and I invited Treasurer out as well to the press conference. The lawyer did not invite her out. That was misinformation. She was concerned about what was going on, came out to our press conference as a city council member, should do, and that's what had happened. But instead of them tending to our units, they're speaking out against the city on getting police to tend to their needs, which they need to hire security for our properties. Because the other night, my daughter's car was broken into as well. The lighting fixtures are broken in the back. The gates are broken, and mind you, I pay $1,853 every month on 16th and Arrowhead. My dad pays $1,500 a year for 2 mortgages, a year. I mean, for property taxes for 2 homes for a year. And I'm paying $1,853 for an uninhabitable place. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Dolores Ormsted was the final speaker.
Okay, thank you so much. Seeing no other speakers.
Wait, can I say one more thing? I also wanted to share on here. I can't find it, but it was
Ma'am,
talking.
You already had.
Oh, I can only speak
Yes,
once.
yes.
Can
Thank you.
Can I give this flyer though?
You can hand that over to the Madam City Clerk. Thank you. There has been a motion by Councilmember Ibarra and a second by Councilmember Ortiz. Any other comments before we move forward? Please vote digitally on your screen.
Are you? Councilmember Ibarra? Okay. Councilmember Sanchez? Yes, okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. We will now move on to City Manager update. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Tran and City Council members, I'm prepared to give you a quick City Manager update. I want to first let you know that downtown San Bernardino receives Clean California Communities designation. The state of California, Caltrans, and Keeps California Beautiful have designated downtown San Bernardino as one of the first 30 clean California communities in the state. More than 10 required criteria were successfully met to achieve this designation, and congratulations to many of the downtown businesses that spearheaded the effort in partnership with the city to earn this designation. Second, Oxbow item we'll be bringing this forward to the discussion item to the City Council on October 15th with items to consider and next steps for Oxbow site off Palm Avenue in the Vermont neighborhood. Waterman encampment team launches. The city has deployed a 4-person team to address homelessness encampments along a 5.2-mile stretch of Waterman Avenue through a state encampment resolution grant. Over the next 2 years, the team will provide critical outreach services along the corridor for engagement, assessment, and connection to immediate and long-term housing resources. The library turns 40. The Central Library will commemorate its 40th anniversary with a celebration on Monday, September 29th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. There will be music, food, and a magician, a look back at the library's history, and a sneak preview of the new Garner Holt animaker space that will open in 2026. This has been funded with ARPA money. The library will also debut a new special edition 40th anniversary library card for new and current patrons. Powwow this weekend. The 29th annual San Manuel Powwow takes place this weekend at Cal State San Bernardino. The powwow is both a celebration and competition honoring and enduring Native traditions. Admission is free. Activities run from 5 p.m. to midnight on Friday and 11 a.m. to midnight on Saturday, and then again 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Sunday. And then congratulations to San Bernardino's Inland Empire 66ers, who last week swept Rancho Cucamonga to win the California League Southern Championship. Although they ended up losing last night, but made it to the championship of the league and had a very successful year. Registration will be open soon for the State of the City, presented by Trek Terminal Properties, to be held from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Historic California Theater. The theme of the event is Celebrating Our Past, Building Our Future, and will be the first event at California Theater since its recent renovation. The event is free to attend, but registration will be required to ensure to ensure that we have enough room. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Any comments from council members? Seeing none, we will move on to public comments. At this time, public comments will be heard for items on the open session and items not on the agenda. To address the City Council, everyone must complete a speaker card and provide it to the City Clerk. Only those speaker cards turned into the City Clerk will be allowed to address the City Council. No late cards will be accepted. A person should state their name for the record before beginning their comments. As your name is called, please line up in order as announced. We have 2 podiums available for your convenience. Please proceed to either one as soon as your name is called. Please note your name will be only called once. If you do not respond when called, you may forfeit your opportunity to speak. If you require Spanish interpretation, we do have an interpreter on site. Please raise your hand at this time to indicate if you need interpreting assistance. In addition, we have interpreting listening devices available in the back. We also please ask that you observe proper decorum and do not speak out of turn or make comments from your seat. If you wish to address the mayor and city council, please be sure to submit a speaker card slip. If you speak out of turn or disrupt the meeting, a warning may be given and/or you will be asked to leave the meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.9 and Penal Code 403.
En este momento se escucharán los comentarios públicos para artículos de la agenda y artículos que no están en la agenda. Para dirigirse al Consejo Municipal, cada individuo debe completar una tarjeta de orador. Se debe completar la tarjeta de orador y entregarla a la Secretaría Municipal en este momento. Solo aquellas tarjetas de orador entregadas a la Secretaría Municipal podrán dirigirse al Consejo Municipal. No se aceptarán tarjetas tardías. Cada persona debe indicar su nombre para registro antes de comenzar sus comentarios. Al ser llamado, por favor, forme una fila en el orden anunciado. Disponemos de 2 podios para su comodidad. Dirigirse a cualquiera de ellos tan pronto como se le llame su nombre. Si necesita interpretación en español, tenemos un intérprete presente. Por favor, levante la mano en este momento para indicar que requiere servicios. Tenemos también aparatos disponibles para escuchar a la Junta en español.
Thank you. Gracias. We have 19 speakers tonight. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please, Madam City Clerk, call their names.
Al Palazzo, Mike Hartley, Christian Shaughnessy, Kim Calvin, Luis Ojeda, Eric Marquez, Georgia L., Sharon Negretti, Jim Smith, Renika Galande.
Mayor, council members, city manager. Saturday morning, I went to Meatla's. I stopped there on the night of my prom to show my mother how we were dressed and to let her know how much I appreciated her. I thought of the ideas that I have come to me to rebuild Mount Vernon, visiting wonderful places, traveling the world, to bring back Route 66, making it a destination, celebrating our history with businesses thriving in beautiful buildings with beautiful architecture. In the afternoon, I saw the movie Downton Abbey. It opens with scenes of Piccadilly Circus and the Live Theatre District in Soho, London. Many times I have been there. Last year, I saw the Tina Turner play. I always visit Westminster Abbey. I stand in the Poets' Corner reminding me of the great English authors I have read, Chaucer, Milton, Shakespeare, and Dickens. I then attended Ryan Stanley's presentation of the history of San Bernardino. I learned a lot. Saturday, I saw The Sound of Music at our Regal Theater. 40 years ago, I was in Salzburg, in the gardens where the children sing, with my bride. We spent 11 weeks traveling through Europe. After Salzburg, we went to Vienna. In Stade Park, an orchestra was playing waltzes, the Blue Daniel. People were dancing. My wife and I joined in the fun. I have been to Rome and Paris many times. If I were economic development director, you would be amazed at my ideas to rebuild San Bernardino, from the downtown Mount Vernon, Waterman, Baseline, Highland Avenue, without government money. fighting for social justice, improving the lives of the people of San Bernardino. I will explain these 1,000 ideas in workshops that I would do during the week for the business community, explaining specifically the types of development that we need in this city that other cities have had for decades, nearly half a century, and on weekends for the residents who work during the week here in the library. I wish you would interview me and hear my ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hi, my name's Eric Marquez, and in appreciation of Hispanic Heritage Month, I've decided to give the following statement in Spanish, and I would really appreciate it if it was translated later, and so that way I could read it first. And it's specifically for a city council member I admire a lot. Mi nombre es Eric Marquez y he presentado una declaración de intención para postularme al 4 distrito. Por la culpa de este perro blanco que tenemos delante y que ha intentado impedir nuestros derechos de entender a nuestro propio consejo porque hablamos español. El mismo blanco que se sienta en el consejo y lleva nuestra ciudad a la bancarrota. Y sin embargo, ahora se siente ante nosotros y regalado a nuestros impuestos de propiedad y el Departamento de Bomberos. ¿Por qué? Inaceptable, inaceptable, inaceptable. Yo como su concejal trabajaré para reparar el daño que este perro blanco ha causado a nuestra ciudad. If you would like my original draft in English, I would be glad to email it to you guys. And it was for Fred. He told me he didn't speak Spanish, so I thought I'd say that for him. I really hope he reads it one day soon. And thank you.
Mayor, we're going to have the
Thank you.
interpreter go ahead and do an interpretation.
Sure. I'm sorry, Mr. Marquez? We have a translator here. It's okay. We'll go to the next public comment. It's okay. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Christian Shaughnessy, your second ward. I did just want to ask, on a different note, some clarifying questions regarding item 19 and the proposal to help perhaps put more priority spaces and beds for San Bernardino residents. The word allocate was used over in that text. So myself and a lot of other housing providers were just wondering if that could be explained in more detail so that when these regulations are actually put on down the line to not just nonprofit I work for, but other housing providers, that we can best be in compliance with the law. And so that way we can have a continuance of good government in the city and further facilitate innovative solutions working with the unhoused. And furthermore, I would like to respectfully urge the council to vote yes on the item involving Yamava giving us a grant so that we can actually have an innovative public safety solution with the Fusion Center. As many folks here know, we are in an era of political violence. Very recently, a notable figure was assassinated, he lost his life, and there's been political violence that has caused victimization on the other side of the aisle as well. So I think anything we can do to best protect the lives of not just people in the city, but accordingly throughout our region, throughout this country, would be very good. So thank you folks so much, and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Council. My name is Georgia. I'm going to keep coming just to make sure that you don't forget about the animals at the animal shelter. The animal shelter is still in crisis and is worse than ever. Thousands more animals taken in. There's no plan. There's no space. And we still don't have the kennels. And we're well into over a year in this regional contract. That's not a mistake. It sounds like a money grab, and it's disgraceful. Here's some solid advice to whoever is in charge over there and the council. Install cameras. That will regain public trust. There are many facilities that have cameras, including in the euthanasia ward, so that you can see. It doesn't have to be live, but you can refer to the cameras to dispute, refute, whatever people are claiming is happening there. It's the only way you're going to regain trust. The public deserves to know if the animals are being sedated and that they are euthanized without pain and fear. These animals are still being mishandled and traumatized. Others continue to be left on the street, putting the whole community at risk and threat of danger. And I'd like to know, why isn't the Animal Services part of the Public Safety Commission? We need to take community safety seriously. I mean, we had another mauling that killed another human being, and it was by a school. It's election time again, and I see a lot of new players that want a chance to fix this mess. So why should we give you guys 4 more years? I'd like to know. Why should I support any of you running again for the next 4 years when this city is a mess during your tenure? And I mean, the downtown looks like crap. Homelessness is worse than ever. And let's be real, moving people around, kicking them out is not progress. You have received tens of millions of dollars for these people, and we can't even give them somewhere to urinate and defecate outside of the street. City Hall still sits empty, and yet I see you clapping and cheering for another drive-through and another car wash, because it seems nobody wants to come here. I just want to close because I want to remember a little boy named Emmanuel Haro, and for every child out there suffering in this broken system. Where's our village? We need a village.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
I'm with the Native Sons of the Golden West and also the chairman of the Arts and Historical Preservation Commission. We will be having a presentation at our next meeting in October from the Public Works Director about the City of San Bernardino Historical Preservation Windshield Survey. So if anybody would like to come to that meeting, it's open to the public. We'll have many Native Sons attending that area because that's what the Native Sons do, is preserve the history of California. I wanted to mention a couple of things, positive things that are happening in the city of San Bernardino. We had over 5,000 people on the west side when they opened the bridge it was a great red letter day for the city of San Bernardino. I want to thank the people that were in back of that. Also, very soon, we'll be having a ceremony at the California Theater. So you might want to just be aware of that. Keep an eye on the newspaper, and let's go out and support that. So that's a very important event also that's happening in the city of San Bernardino. Nick Catavo at the Historical Preservation Commission is doing some tremendous things to preserve the history of California, and we need to support him and support everything we can do to preserve the wonderful history of San Bernardino. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Ranika Galande. I stand before you today as a concerned member of the community, and I truly believe in the city's potential. I know many people are feeling as though the city has drifted apart to a point of no return. We see divides where there should be common ground. Many residents are feeling anxious, scared, unsure of where the city is going. So the question lies, how do we pull ourselves out of this? How do we make San Bernardino the all-American city that it once was? Well, there are three principal fundamentals to our success. Let's call them the 3 T's. Togetherness, trust, and transparency. So what does togetherness mean? Togetherness is not just agreeing on every issue. It's about respecting our disagreements while working together toward a better future for all. True togetherness is built when we see each other not as opponents, but as neighbors, as partners. It means we have to stop bashing and ridiculing people. Next is trust. Trust is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. When residents feel unheard, ignored, or misled, trust erodes. It's often said that trust is lost in a bucket and rebuilt with a teaspoon. For years, and even more so over the last 2 years, we've seen a loss of faith in our community. It is our collective duty to earn it back, 1 teaspoon at a time. This is not a task for the public alone. It starts right here with you all, with our elected officials, by consistently, demonstrating integrity and respect. It means that when you make a mistake, you own it. You don't point fingers or run smear campaigns as a means of diversion. Next is transparency. Transparency is not a buzzword. It's a duty, a necessity. It means no half-truths, no misinformation, no hidden agendas. It's making the public aware of all information, including financial records, meeting minutes, making things truly accessible and easy for everyone to understand, and explain the why behind the decisions, even the difficult ones. It's ensuring public input is acknowledged and not just based on your own personal motives. Now, this path forward is not going to be easy, but we can rebuild our city through togetherness, through trust, and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, good evening. Luis Ojeda. I want to start by saying that a lot of people is mistaken when they say that, it's a common saying in San Bernardino, above the 210 and below the 210. It's like 2 different cities, 2 different worlds. Well, I'm sad to report that now is the same everywhere. Sadly, I stopped by the Pollo Loco on Kendall on University a few days ago. And I was very saddened by what I witnessed. First, the Shop Center, it was completely dark. I went into the facility, the Pollo Loco, and there were several homeless sitting in there, just chilling. And as I sat down and I ate, but I noticed that every time somebody walk in, they would just walk out. They don't want to stay. They don't feel safe. That's the feed war. I used to laugh, and I used to call them the Beverly Hills of San Bernardino. Not anymore. Now, why? Why we still talking about homelessness? For years and years and years, we've been spending billions of dollars, and we're still talking about homelessness. And I'm going to tell you why. Because San Bernardino, the city, is the one that has the most nonprofits that care about homelessness. I mean, maybe a few do, but most of them, the only thing that they care is about the money, because there's a lot of money, okay? And that's the reason why we're not going to get rid of that problem, because everybody has a lot of sympathy and empathy, but not common sense. And I think it's time for us to have some tough love, okay? Because everybody talks about them, poor them, they're down on their luck, and they have mental issues and substance abuse issues. Yeah, how about the families of the city? How about the kids of the city? Don't you think that they have mental issues because they're not allowed to go outside on the parks? Not even in walking to school back home? Do you think that they won't have mental issues because of it? So they don't count? We don't care about them? And we're still talking about poor or the homeless? So when are we going to say poor or the families of the city of San Bernardino and the county? When? When are we going to hold those so-called shelters accountable? When are we going to do inspections on them to make sure that they're operating legitimately? Because nobody talks about that, because you're not allowed to talk about that. That's why I'm bringing it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Kimberly Calvin. I'm looking at your items to be considered, and I find it just quite amusing, sadly amusing, though. You have Councilmember Charette bringing an item to direct staff to bring back a very detailed plan for a special meeting or a workshop regarding the Navigation Center. Councilmember Charette, how many years have you been on the dais? Close to 16, after 16? If you really wanted to address this Navigation Center, I think that you would have by now. So the amusing portion is because it is election season. And what I do recall is that when Charles Montoya came here, Councilmember Sanchez and Councilmember Figueroa and I sat down and we met with him. And City Manager Montoya stated that he was never going to bring the Navigation Center here. And neither one of you sparked, and neither one of you said, why not? This is already a plan for the city. We, the council, have already approved this Navigation Center, and of course you will, because you take direction from the council. You don't direct us. But as I've mentioned many times before, this is exactly what the council allows, is that you choose a city manager who is unqualified to come in and combat, to deal with the issues of the city of San Bernardino, and then you allow them to take their own direction and do what they choose fit. Which leads us to where we are right now, and it leads us to hearing this civil action, this civil case being led out in front of the city, wasting our time. It should have been in a courtroom, actually. But what we heard is a lot of things dropping through the cracks. And so that's what happens when you hire people to come here and manage our city when they are not capable of doing that. So for those of you who voted for Rob Field, Steve Kerrigan, Charles Montoya, you should not be asking the city to re-elect you. You should be standing before the city and stating why you should not be elected. You should gently, you should honestly, humbly move yourselves over. Because that is why we are in the position that we are in now, because you made those horrible decisions. And now the city is the one, the people, the constituents are the ones who are having to pay for it. And we just heard a whole case be played out in front of us as to the whys. And this is how we are represented, and this is how the rest of the Inland Empire looks at us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Mike Hartley. Some of this, I can guarantee you, the last speakers, we were not colluding with one another. It's quite amazing how they were thinking the same thing I was thinking. So it must bother a lot more citizens of San Bernardino than just us four. I know Mr. Palazzo wants to rebuild San Bernardino, and I appreciate that. Only problem is the saying, build it and they will come, doesn't work for City of San Bernardino. They won't be coming, and you can build whatever you want. And unless we change the culture and the mindset of the people who live in the City of San Bernardino, who take pride into where they live, it'll never happen. Now, I hope none of you who are up for re-election have any donations from PAMA Management, because I got to tell you, that would make you part of the problem and not part of the solution. We've got to clean up the city of San Bernardino before we rebuild. There is no reason running before we know how to walk. all we're going to do is end up with a lot of empty buildings. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk?
John Schollenberger, Ron Alvarado, Ray Bloom, Harry Hatch, Robert Carrillo, Les, Forenza, Esther, Ruben Mendoza.
Ready? Good evening, John Schollenberger, 7th Ward, City of San Bernardino. On September 8th of this month, 2025, I attended the Upland City Council meeting, and I came before them to address something that was brought to my attention, that there was a $5,900 donation to Councilman Theodore Sanchez from the Upland City Police Department's Police Officers Association. And I wanted to know why. So I went and I talked to that council and that mayor, and I asked them, why on earth would your police department be involved in our city elections and funding any of our candidates here? Why are you involved? And I said, I'm bringing this to your attention so that you can be aware of it and you can look into it. To me, it's a conflict of interest. But my question is, Mr. Sanchez, who enabled you to solicit and secure those fundings? Was it BB&K or was it the chief? They're both connected to Upland. So inquiring minds want to know, like me. Okay, Councilperson Canas, at the last meeting, you stated that you were, regarding the Oxbow issue, that you were having conversation with the former city interim manager and the current one about this issue, which is very high profile. So from what I understand and gather, you were doing that work singularly. You weren't doing it collaboratively. Not allowing any of your colleagues on the dais, from what I understand, to have any part in that conversation or unable to help you. So to me, that wasn't collaborative, that was autocratic in nature. This issue has been on the table for 4 years. Dr. Ortiz, Harry Hatch, Barbara Sky, and Dolores Armstead have been here consistently for 4 years, ever since Valdivia had that stuff dumped up in the Oxbow. That toxic-laden concrete. That's what collaboration is, reaching out to your colleagues for help. And you need to be transparent to the community about all that was discussed and who was involved in those conversations. Lastly, one of your commissioners was in here regarding the homelessness issue and accused our mayor, Helen Tran, of taking Illumination Now around the city and showing them hotels. How would we remember the conversation? Okay, well, fact-checking went on after that. And apparently, from very reliable sources, they said that was not true. They did not have conversation with Helen Tran. They said conversation took place, but it was with you. That's what I'm being told. It was with you during your time on the playbook. So you can go ahead and do some fact checking on your own for that. But to me, if you're going to collaborate, we're going to have transparency, we need to be fully transparent.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
And excuse me, I'd like the record to reflect that is inaccurate. It's actually on the July 8th Planning Commission where the CEO advises who in fact he met with. So thank you.
Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Ron Alvarado, and I am from the 1st Ward. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Today, I want to speak on the importance of collaboration. Working together on issues such as the Oxbow, regardless of who brings it to the table, not only creates an impact to the immediate community around it, but uplifts the entire city because we can witness true unity and leadership instead of division. Although we live in different wards, we all live in the great city of San Bernardino, and the city's triumphs and failures affect us, each and every one of us, regardless of the ward we live in. Just a little personal story. I love snowboarding. I was in Mammoth this winter snowboarding. You usually meet people on the list. Oh, where you're from? I said from San Bernardino. The child from the family said, oh, where that toxic dump is? The people from all over the state know us for being a toxic dump ground, which is insane to me. I also want to add that everything should be done publicly. You are public servants, and government should be transparent. That's why we have the Freedom of Information Act, the Brown Act, the Public Records Act. Government is supposed to operate transparently and upfront so that it can be held accountable. We all deserve a well-functioning government where transparency and accountability are at the forefront of each meeting. As the chairman of the Parks and Recreation Commission, I am here also to ask you for your support in approving the change of time to our commission. Our goal is true community engagement to happen. No one should, not a commissioner, city elected, or city staff, raise barriers in moving our community forward. Holding public meetings when our neighbors are able to attend is paramount to building a thriving city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Harry Hatch, Ward 7. Fireworks. It's back on the money again. We need to look at that, and if you think the 2 hours you spent tonight was wild, wait till you start getting some of the civil suits that will be coming when you have an ordinance that is not being enforced. You need to know what your ordinances say. You have to understand how much it's costing us to run these ordinances that are just sitting there and have people putting out permits that are not being enforced. This is something you need to understand. I've finally been able to get an arrangement to meet with the city manager and to discuss these issues. These issues are going to be talking about financial responsibility to us, the people of the city of San Bernardino. You cannot afford to let these go on. You're running administrative fees when you could be running regular through the courts with the regular citations, not administrative citations. There's a whole system there. It's always there. We don't have to have an administrative judge, administrative people. It's all in the court system. Write the tickets for what they are, violations. Fireworks are explosives. Explosives are permitted. They're only permitted 5 days, and we're still wasting money for those 5 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Esther Gonzalez, and I am a proud resident of Ward 1. I would like to speak about action item 91.220, actions taken to reduce the number of poverty-level families. One of the bulletin points states, the efforts of the COC, San Bernardino County Behavioral Health Administration, Office of Homeless Services, and various homeless services agencies to provide public and social services to residents living in poverty, including health services, counseling, educational programs, food distribution, academic and vocational training, youth services, and senior services. I am a part of the Inland Empire Tenants Union for San Bernardino. We are hosting a tenants' rights workshop tomorrow. But we have not received a response from code enforcement to our invitation to providing an educational presentation and materials. If I could please have if you could please have code enforcement follow up with us, we would really appreciate it so that we can make sure that our city tenants are educated. I would also like to mention item 91.52A or 20. It identifies actions connected to overcome the efforts of any impediments identified in the jurisdiction's analysis of impediments of fair housing choice. Goal number 4, it states, create public awareness of fair housing laws and affordable housing and advocacy. Action, work with the IFHMB as part of the fair housing contract to annual review and report on apartment rentals and advertisements released by private housing companies. This ties into PAMA Management and a lot of their other shell companies owned by Mike Najjar. I just want to remind the city that Mike Najjar owns 3,082 units, with the medium in San Bernardino rent being $1,900 a month. He extracts an estimated amount of $5.8 million. I'm sorry. I'd like to state that PAMA and its secret allies abide by fair housing laws with these items. However, their illegal business practices violate the fair housing habitability laws, which is a contradiction. These properties should not participate in receiving federal funding while not adhering to the law. Landlords and property managers are not above the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Robert Carrillo. I'm a resident of Ward 7, a business owner here in San Bernardino, and I serve on the board of the San Bernardino Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. First, thank you for recognizing Hispanic or Latino Heritage Month and the Chamber with the proclamation tonight. That does matter. It really is important. But let's be honest, it can't just be symbolic. If we're going to celebrate Hispanic contributions, the city and its agencies must also back it up with real action for Hispanic-based businesses and entrepreneurs. Projects like Launchpad, a mixed-use, mixed-income residential development led by a coalition of Latinos, show what's possible when we build opportunity from within the community. We need the city to stand behind that work. And I'll add this, since folks mentioned it is election season, that our community will not be tokenized, right? Actions mean more than words and awards, respectfully. A lot of good things are happening in San Bernardino. I love it. Last night, right, shout out to the Inland Empire 66ers. I went to the game. I got a ball, right? And maybe they should be recognized. Again, they were in the finals. I love my neighborhood, Nina. Some folks here came and talked about it, but our residents show up. Nearly 50 showed up at the last general meeting, right? They care. And I'm on the Nina board, and I want to thank the police chief for meeting with the board after that meeting and reminding us that you all need to speak up about what matters, and that's why I'm here tonight, speaking about what matters. And so I recommend that other associations link up with the chief. It really does take a collective. But as a commercial real estate broker and developer, I hear all the reasons why developers hesitate to come to San Bernardino, and surprise, the #1 answer is not homelessness. It is also not crime. That is on the decline. It's not even the city council meeting, surprisingly, right? It is what we saw or spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours here. It's about planning, Department of Planning, and their processes. The delays, the confusion, the general plan isn't even implemented fully. Our land use and zoning code is stuck in the past. I used to defend planning. I did. I was like, hey, they're understaffed. There's not enough resources. But having gone through the process and going through the process right now, and at least I will give Mr. Elliott a shout out for the overture of saying, hey, we need to have a meeting, because we've been trying. So that needs to change, right? The reputation of the city cannot hinge on a failed department, really. And so my time is up, but I love San Bernardino.
Thank you. Next speaker, please state your name.
Hello, Ruben Mendoza, Ward 7. Just wanted to, I came last minute. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make a comment or not. I wanted to make my comment generally about an experience that I had in my early professional career. Last year I had the opportunity, and this also relates to affordable housing and homelessness, because I know people obviously are really passionate about that here today. When I went to Vienna last year in April, I was there for a 1-week field study. And we got to learn and understand the economic housing development that they've been able to implement for really over 100 years now. A lot of things really stood out to me. And I created this one-pager to kind of serve as my talking points whenever I'm public-facing, to just summarize my one-week field study being in Vienna. There's a permanent source of financing on the salaries that are generated, right, by their constituents. And so can we, from the general funds, create a revolving loan fund or a low-interest capital loan or something so that developers could fill whatever financing gaps that they're missing? Tenant protections, roughly 90% of all evictions are prevented in Vienna. The zoning is really impressive. They capture households up to almost 200% AMI. And when they set aside land for development, they exclusively say that 2/3 of that residential housing will be affordable. From that 2/3 allocation, they split half of it for marginalized populations and the other half to capture up to that 200% AMI. They have jury developer comps based on 4 categories: environmental sustainability, cost, design, social sustainability. The city-state of Vienna, which is 160 square miles with almost 2 million, more than 2 million residents, acquires land for 15 years ahead of anticipated need. This county respectively has roughly the same population as well, but with 20,000 square miles. So they build very dense, walkable communities. They're trying to reach carbon neutrality by 2040. Yeah, I think they're, to say the least, kind of like almost living in the future, which is what I would want for my city as well. Rent control has been in place since 1917. Any publicly owned housing that's 1,000 square feet can't be more than $650 for rent. For limited profit housing associations, it can be more than $800. And I'm just asking that we can choose different policies to just build affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That concludes the in-person speakers. We have received written comments which have been distributed to the mayor and members of the city council for review. The comments can also be found on our website attached to the agenda packet.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. We will now move on to the consent calendar, items 6 to 17. Mr. City Manager, do you have any pulls of any items?
No, no, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, you have some announcements to make regarding the consent calendar?
Yes, just a note that if you have a personal financial conflict and an item on consent calendar is not actually pulled for discussion, you don't have to leave the room. If the item is pulled for discussion, then you would have to leave the room. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Let me go down the line of council members. Councilmember Ibarra, do you have any polls? Oh, she's not. Okay. Councilmember Canals, do you have any polls? None. Councilmember Sanchez, do you have any polls?
None.
Okay. Councilmember Ortiz, do you have any polls?
Yes, it was.
My
apologies for the item number, I just lost it. But the number 13, please.
13? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Flores?
No polls.
Thank you. Councilmember Charette?
I have a conflict on 13, financial conflict.
But do you have any polls?
That's been pulled?
That's been pulled, but do you have any?
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear that.
Just that, okay. Thank you. So is there a motion to
Move the balance.
move the balance? Second, thank you. There's Councilmember Flores?
Yes, Mayor. In communication with our legal counsel and advice, I will be abstaining on item number 14 in conjunction with FPC Section Code 18700, which the gist of it is I reside within 500 feet of the item number 14's site.
Thank you. So should we pull that, Mr. City Attorney? Just because he put that on the record? Okay, thank you. Please call for the vote, Madam City Clerk.
Digital voting is open.
Oh, yes. Please vote on your digital screen.
And again, just to be sure, 13 was pulled. We're
Yes,
not voting
13.
on that now.
We'll speak to that right after this. Thank you.
The consent calendar balance passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will now speak on item 13, and then this item,
If anyone does have a conflict on this item, you have to announce your conflict, what is it, and then you have to leave the room.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, I need to recuse myself from item 13, and I have received a campaign contribution exceeding $500 from Yahaviatam of Seminole Nation. While the Levine Act excludes contracts with government agencies, and I believe that the tribe should be exempt as a government agency and as a sovereign nation, I must recuse myself because state law only appears to exempt state agencies at this time.
Thank you. Any other council members? Councilmember Charette?
I do, for the exact same reasons. Do I need to repeat what he just said?
Same for Councilmember Canas, no need to repeat.
You could just, on the record, say for the same reasons.
On the record for the same reasons, thank you.
Thank you, council members. Councilmember Ibarra's coming back, so we do have a quorum.
Okay. I was like, for those of us that didn't get money, what are we doing?
Councilmember Ortiz?
Yes, I just had a quick question. This is a really good grant, and it's for 1 year. So if this money goes away next year, are we still looking to make sure that we're going to continue this on? Are we like possibly pre-budgeting for it, or are we anticipating this? That was the only question I had.
Let me defer to the chief. Can do that? I'll defer to the interim finance director. Or the chief. Or no, actually, the police chief is getting up to speak.
This money is to help with the initial operating cost of our STRAC.
Do you anticipate needing like this exact amount of funds like next year? Or is this kind of like we'll reapply?
No, the ongoing costs will be covered by the joint agencies that will be participating in it.
Okay, thank you. That was it. Move to approve.
Thank you. There's a motion.
Second.
There's a second. Madam City Clerk?
I'm going to take a voice vote.
Digital voting.
I'm going to take a voice vote for this.
Oh,
one.
voice vote.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the motion was made by Councilmember Ortiz, second by Councilmember Ibarra, Figueroa, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Ibarra. Councilmember Ibarra, can I have your vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Can we have someone ask for the council members to come back? We will move on to items to be considered for future meetings. Thank you, council. We are now on items to be considered for future meetings. Item 18, discuss the potential for a 1-year moratorium on the sale and use of fireworks within the city of San Bernardino.
Point of order.
Yes, Councilmember Sanchez.
On item 13, it's not just voting members that recuse themselves from a case. If there's a financial conflict, if there's a Levine Act conflict, does the chair also need to recuse themselves from the item?
The chair would.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not jeopardizing this grant. Mayor, did you receive a grant?
I did, Mr. City Attorney, so should I have
re-vote?
left the room and
If that's the case, if I remember correctly, Mayor Pro Tem, you weren't conflicted, were you?
I have no conflicts.
Okay,
Any contributions that I've received were prior to March of 2024.
Okay, so let's do it again. Let's do it again. And Mayor, I'd ask you to step out also.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem will handle it for that item, and then we'll come back.
Look at all these fun financial rules that we're following.
Yes.
Or do you want me to?
We do. Yeah, there's 4.
Because she could veto.
So at this point, I guess I'm serving as Mayor Pro Tem at this point. Yes, we do still have
You
a
have
quorum
quorum.
here. I invite Councilmember Treasurer, Councilmember Ortiz, since you made the initial motion previously, I invite you to make the same motion again as if at your pleasure.
I move to approve this item again. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Ibarra. Madam City Clerk, if we can please call for the question.
Okay. Councilmember Ibarra? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And we'll go ahead and invite our colleagues back to the dais.
Thank you, Council. We're now back again. Number 18, discuss the potential for a 1-year moratorium on the sale and use of fireworks within the city of San Bernardino and/or restriction on permitting and/or increasing fines and enforcement to be brought back to the City Council within the next 60 days. Councilmember Ortiz, would you like to speak on your item?
Just by request of the public to see if there's any appetite for this before the next season comes. So I move to approve.
I'd like to take
Thank
these as a slate, maybe all 3 of those items. I'd move to approve all 3 as a slate.
Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez.
I'll second that.
Yes,
I want to
Councilmember
second,
Ortiz.
but I just want to know if, could we make sure, if possible, I know Councilman Charette says 30 days, if we could make sure that his comes sooner, like if in the order, if that's possible, because he really is, I think, as we work in Councilwoman Canas's timeframe, if we can really look to make sure we prioritize the time and what we can piggyback at the same time and, make it a really cohesive conversation, because you're like 45, 30 days.
And if I could just add to that, I'm very amenable to whatever time that staff needs. I've been very direct in regards to my concerns regarding the homeless fund and the crisis in the city of San Bernardino. I am very appreciative of the proposed item that Councilmember Charette, and I do agree, this should all be in tandem and be a very robust discussion. But I do want to make sure that I add that I really look forward to us moving past the point of discussion. San Bernardino has been the city of talk for quite some time. So I look forward to us moving the discussion to actually action. We as city council people, we are here to legislate and create policy that does impact the trajectory of the city of San Bernardino. So I'm very amenable to the time that is needed in order to accomplish that.
Thank you,
Mayor,
Councilmember. There's some.
If I can just make one
Councilmember
comment. I
Charette.
concur. And in my item, I indicate 30 to 60 days. There's nothing magical about that. And I think the 45 days, the 30 to 60, I think the point is, this is something, and the point of my item, and it does dovetail with number 19, Ms. Canassa's, but the whole point was just to kind of just recap where we've been, where we are, and where we're going on these very important issues of homelessness. And there's been so many different things go on. That was really the impetus of just kind of taking a time out and having us all talk about it, and all of us being on the same page and understanding the entire issue and situation as best we possibly can.
Thank
So
you,
that was my only comment.
And if I could add just one more, please. I just want to stress the imperativeness that we don't kick the can too far down the road. The conversation, as far as the conversation and the actions, do need to take place quite sooner than later. This is a crisis in our city. I have been inundated with the calls, messages, emails, so I don't want to wait too long.
Thank you, Council. Thank you for emphasizing the importance of making sure staff prioritizes the issue of the homelessness issue that we have in our city. Mr. City Manager, you noted that. Thank you so much. So there's a motion and a second to move all 3 items. Please call, vote on your screen, council.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council. We will now move on to Mayor and City Council updates. Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes, I think since the last meeting, trying to think. We went to the IVDA meeting last week. It was a very well-attended meeting, and I believe the turnout is good. We're proceeding with the the infrastructure repairs that we were planning, but of course we denied the, what was it, Councilmember Figueroa? I'm so out of it right now. I'm tired. Sorry. But just know that we are trying to make progress in that corridor by the airport. A lot of those streets have not been fixed for decades, and it's time that we finally get to fixing them. So that is a big project from the IVDA and airport they've been working on. Also, they are having their annual show, and I believe they said October 11th. So make a record, not sure, 11th or 13th, if anybody can correct me. But we're gonna have a free air show for the community. For those who have been watching the meetings for years in the past, they used to charge an admission to enter the air shows before, and now it's a free event for the whole community. So please, I hope you go show up. As soon as I get a flyer, I'll make sure I post it somewhere and share it with the public. It's a nice show, and it was fun last year when I went there. A lot of children were playing, and families were enjoying their time. So definitely, if you listen to K-Rock, they'll be making another appearance this year. And that's it for right now. Other than that, I've been meeting with constituents and, of course, our city manager. I want to thank our city manager. He does listen to the concerns, all the concerns that the residents have. We let him know, and he looks into it. And so I thank even my colleagues for bringing up all this, the homelessness conversation. It is not just because of election time. Last year, we had another workshop around the same time. And I think it's okay to bring these workshops every now and then so that we can find out where we're at with building the navigation center and the collaborations with other nonprofits throughout the city. So thank you, Mr. City Manager and my colleagues for all caring to helping their unhoused in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Canas?
Thank you. And I just want to make sure that I clarify, as far as the San Bernardino Investment Playbook, I was a co-lead back in 2022. The comment that was made regarding the recuperative care facility that just came and was approved on July 8th, 2025, it is of public knowledge. The CEO stated very publicly whom he met with, and it was not me, nor was it in relation to the San Bernardino Investment Playbook. Other than that, I do have a community meeting that is going to be on September 29th at 6 p.m. at Jersey's Pizza. SBCTA is going to be our special guest. They will be talking about the 215 Diamond Interchange project that is coming off of University Parkway. It's going to be a very informational session. So I invite all of the community to come out and learn about that project that is slated to be completed very soon. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, the city's central library, Feldheim Library, turns 40, and that's here in the First Ward in downtown San Bernardino. The library will be commemorating its 40th anniversary with a celebration on Monday, September 29th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. There will be music, food, and I believe Ed Urjevich will be doing magic, or maybe someone he hires. There will also be a look back at the library's history, a sneak peek preview of the new Garner Holt Animator space that will be open in 2026. The library will also be debuting a new special edition 40th anniversary library card for new and current patrons. And I cannot emphasize enough the digital catalog that the city has. That amounts to, I think, literally tens of thousands of titles. It's incredible. You don't even have to come into the building. It is a very beautiful building, but I encourage you and young people in this city I encourage you to reach out to young people in the city and maybe get them in the habit of reading. A quote comes to mind from a thought leader from a bygone era, but the quote is, I think, epitomizes what I think the value that a library, a well-run library network system can provide to the people like the one that the city has here. And the quote from Edith Hamilton is that it has always seemed strange to me that in our endless discussion about education, so little stress is laid on the pleasure of being an educated person, the enormous interest it adds to life to be able to be caught up in the world of thought that is to be educated. With so much going on in the world, I think there is a real chance to find real happiness in a well-written book. So I encourage everyone to take advantage not just of our beautiful facilities, but also our digital catalog. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor. So there's quite a bit going on. We have the Mr. and Mrs. Cardinal pageant going on this Saturday at San Bernardino High School. It is the most, and I say this every year, so it's the new most amazing group of students that have come across the stage. It's been my 4th year judging, and I am just in awe. One of the contestants literally has a 4.75 GPA, top of the class. I don't even know how that's possible anymore. So if you can make it 5 o'clock, San Bernardino High School, tickets are still available. The powwow at Cal State San Bernardino is going on this weekend, so if you can definitely go to that, it's a great, I mean, they're literally building Cal State as we speak, so it's wonderful to see that partnership. I attended the tree planting ceremony for Ernie Garcia at the Garcia Center a week or so ago. It was a really great moment in being able to continue to honor a wonderful pillar of our community. Grandparents' Day was awesome. Park and Rec killed it. Miss Vanessa and your team, it was just the vibe and the karaoke. I just want to say that was super fun, and just thank you for all that you do. This morning, I attended the LAFCO hearing regarding the Springs Trail Annex. While it wasn't the result that we had hoped for, the Spring Trails was annexed, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the residents that took the time to show up. I thank Gabriel for coming, because it's important that we speak up. Regardless of where we are in litigation or things, the city of San Bernardino has to stand on business. And just the pleasantries of the day-to-day isn't enough, because honestly, there's a lot of people who don't care what happens here because they don't live here. And so we need to make sure that we are there. So I was really happy about that. Attended the open house for the probation department for the Youth Resource Center out at the Sterling Center. Fantastic. Just, I mean, everything from personal services all the way to educational services. So I thank probation for them doing that. Attended the STEAM Center for the Hill Project at Sandals Church, and I know the mayor's probably going to touch on that, so I won't go too much, but it was just really awesome to see all the things that's going forward and moving forward for our kids. I am happy, and my constituents were talking about homelessness. I think this is a really important time to make sure that we are reaching out, and one of the numbers that had come across, just alone in our numbers, we talk about children being on the streets, 5,000 in the school district, but in our last, I think, 4 months of reports, at least out of 400 some kids reported, the city has had contact with almost 100 of those kids just from our homeless outreach team. And so I think that it's pivotal, and to the other council member's point, that this discussion come. I hope it's not a workshop. Our constituents really hope for the meeting so that we can take action and not just push it to another thing. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you. This past week, last week on Tuesday, we had the great ribbon cutting for the futsal court field at Lytle Creek Park. I want to say a real big thank you to staff. The city manager was there. Our Public Works Department was represented there as well. Our parks were there. Council members Sanchez, Flores, and the mayor was there as well, running circles around the kids and wearing heels too. It was a great time. It's such a unique feeling, especially because that was my childhood park, and to be able to do something, to be able to give back to the park where I grew up, so that the future generation, future kids are able to continue to enjoy that park. It really touched a special place in my heart for me. So it really meant a lot. It's, what comes to mind is one of the slogans or mantras, I guess, rather, from one of our supervisors, Supervisor Baca Jr., who has shared with me in the past why he's so passionate about parks, is because there are many families who don't have the means or can't afford to take their kids to Disneyland or theme parks or other places like that, right? But what they can do, what they can be able to do for their children is take them to their local parks. And so that's why it's so important for us to take care of our parks and be able to provide an opportunity for the parents in the community, for the families in the community to be able to take their children to enjoy our parks, because that's their opportunity to take them to do something where they might not be able to have the means to do the other stuff as well. So our parks doing a great job. Vanessa, you're doing a great job as well. I had the opportunity to have a conversation with you recently regarding the Starlight Cinema movie in the park that's taking place September 27th, Saturday at 6 p.m. There's going to be all kinds of activities, food, vendors, play opportunities for kids, and the movie Migration will be taking place at about sundown. It's not an exact time, but when it gets dark. I will also be hosting a community meeting in conjunction with it, just to provide updates to the Colony Park area, which is where the Starlight Cinema will be taking place, down on the south end of the city, down on Colony Park. That will kick off at 6 p.m. as well, just to provide some updates on traffic safety in that community, and just to remain engaged with the residents there as well. So again, great job, Vanessa. You're doing a great job there. The Rancho West Neighborhood Association will be having their neighborhood meeting this Friday at 6 p.m., and that will be taking place at 445 South State Street. So that'll be, again, the Rancho West Neighborhood Association at 6 p.m. And finally, I want to just say a big thank you to our police department as well for all the work they're doing, and especially under the leadership of Chief Darren Goodman. This past week, just for example, the Met team has been very busy. I saw a posting that just on one stop, they were able to arrest about 15 individuals on felony charges. They were able to recover 6 handguns, 3 ounces of cocaine, 5 ounces of ecstasy, 1 ounce of fentanyl, which if you know how much an ounce of fentanyl is, that can do a lot of damage. I do work in hospice care, and we deal with fentanyl, but we deal with it in micrograms, and these are minuscule amounts. And it's mostly for pain management, of course, but that's an ounce of fentanyl can do a lot of damage, folks. I mean, that can really do a lot of damage. They were able to recover thousands of dollars in cash as well. And so I want to say a real big thank you to our police department and to our chief for doing such an amazing job with your leadership in that department as well. Thank you to all of you for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Flores?
Thank you, Mayor. September 9th, I also attended, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, the futsal court ribbon cutting, and hearing you, Mayor Pro Tem, when you were speaking about your childhood park, it was incredible, and it just really gets me thinking, and the anticipation can't wait for Nicholson Park, because that one's almost near its completion, and that's my childhood park. So I can relate there, and it's a great victory for the community. So thank you to the Parks team for continuing it going forward, and thank you Public Works for all the work that you guys do. As always, I've also attended the celebration of the anniversary of the independence for both the Consulate of Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Great experience all around, even though I'm Mexican, just being able to indulge in all these other cultures, the way they celebrate their food, it's very eye-opening, and it gives you a great appreciation for others. And lastly, I'd like to announce that I'm going to be kicking off next week my little series called Tour of the Six, where I'll be going to different communities around the 6th Ward to to just provide updates on all the incredible projects that the city has been putting out, and also all the great stuff that's happening in the 6th Ward, and also to listen to some feedback about what's important to that area. So on Monday, September 22nd, I'll be at the San Anselmo community, right, little south, just small community south of Muscoy, and I want to thank my public safety commissioner for organizing the event and talking to all the neighbors and getting everyone together, because it's tough being able to do everything on your own, and having that support really helps out. And on Thursday, September 22nd, I will be at the Meridian community it's right in my neighborhood. So providing updates, especially, I'm pretty sure they'll be extremely happy with Nicholson Park, but that's about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Charette?
Thank you, Mayor. I won't repeat. A lot of the events that are upcoming have already been announced, so I won't repeat those. I did attend the Neighborhood Association for Wildwood Park area. Very well attended the other night, and I encourage again everybody to get involved, find out where their neighborhood association is. Also, last night I was at the Belvedere Neighborhood Association meeting, and yesterday Coffee with a Cop up at the Lady of Our Savior Lutheran Church up on Sierra Way. Coffee with a Cop yesterday morning. And we had 80 people there. I have to commend not only our lieutenant and his staff, but basically my commissioner, Junior Carrillo, who gets on the phone and makes the phone calls to over 100 people to get those people there and to get engagement and get community engagement at that Coffee with a Cop. I think I challenge the rest of the districts to beat that Eastern District with the attendance. Like I say, we have an average probably of 50 at those meetings and upwards of 80 and sometimes more. So thank you, Junior. I know he's watching and listening and does a great job. And appreciate what the PD does and the good job that they do at these meetings, updating the community on what's going on with the PD. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Thank you, Council. I have some updates on September 4th. I attended both the Southern California Council of Governments Community Economic and Human Development Committee and Regional Council meeting. On September 8th, I also attended the new STEAM Center along with Councilmember Ortiz at the Hill by the Sandals Church, and this facility provides a beautiful space for our youth in the community. As well as I joined Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Sanchez and Flores on the futsal ribbon cutting. Beautiful, beautiful event for the community. It's the first one in the city, so thank you, Councilmember Sanchez and Mayor Pro Tem for leading that effort a few years back. September 9th, I attended the welcome reception for the new Mexican Consul General in San Bernardino, along with Councilmember Flores and Councilmember Sanchez and Mr. City Manager. Thank you. That was beautiful to meet Dr. Salvador Percarstre. September 10th, attended the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority General Policy Meeting. September 11th, attended the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Metro Valley Study Session. On September 11th, as well as Councilmember Charette, I spoke at the Wildwood Park Neighborhood Association, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, for attending to get to meet with the constituents. They were very honored to have you there, and gave some really great updates throughout the city. A lot of great things happening in our city. On September 12th and 13th, as well as I had joined with the Councilmember Flores, the 204th anniversary celebration of the independence of Guatemalan and El Salvadorian consulates in San Bernardino. September 16th, I did attend a Coffee with Cop at the Crest Haven Apartments. Again, our police department continues to really engage our community with great data, great input, and great efforts to address a lot of things in our community. So thank you, shout out to our police department, our chief, great job, keep it going. September 16th, same day, last night, I threw the first pitch at the 66ers playoff game, and I made it all the way to the pitch, to the catcher, just so you know. They caught my ball. Yeah, so it was great, and congratulations to 66ers on a successful 2025 season. Before we adjourn, Council, I would like to honor the memory of Cora Hidalgo Holland, a San Bernardino native and San Bernardino High School alumna whose life was tragically taken on September 11th, 2001 aboard American Airlines Flight 11. Her legacy reminds us of the deep connections of our community shares with our nation's history. In her memory, I ask for a moment of silence. Let's pause. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned at 8:33 p.m. The next joint regular meeting of the Mayor City Council and the Mayor City Council acting as the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency and the Mayor and City Council acting as the San Bernardino City Housing Authority and Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino acting as the San Bernardino Joint Powers Finance Authority will adjourn to the regular meeting to be held on October 1st, 2025 at the Feldheim Central Library located at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92410. Closed session will begin at 4 p.m. and open session will begin at 5 p.m. Good night, everyone. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone.